potato. We got chicken. There we go. Someone just got back from the gym. Feeling fired up. Someone's feeling sad. Don't worry. I'm gonna try to cheer you up by the end of this. Got star emoji. Love it, guys. Am I a boomer for thinking that emojis are still cool? Anyway, we're gonna get started here in a couple of minutes. Just waiting for a couple more people to hop on. But guys, please put away distractions. I know there's could be a lot of things going on. All I ask is for your focus. Just pretend like you're watching your favorite, Netflix episode and just full undivided attention. I promise you, I'm going to help you I'm going to help you make money, and I'm going to help you get to where you want to be financially. Okay. All right, guys, we're gonna get started in 1 minute. 1 minute, and then we're gonna get started. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. You guys can see me okay. This is all for you guys, so I want to make sure that that's all good to go. Let me know in the chat. You guys I love the energy that you guys are bringing already, guys. It's firing me up, even though today was kind of sluggish, feeling pretty tired, but I'm going to bring the energy for you guys because you guys are bringing the energy for me. Love it. Okay, let me know before we get going here. Holt, okay, last time. Yes, this is actually live. It's December 8th, 5:04 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay, we're going to get going, guys. We've waited long enough. Thank you guys for showing up on time. I know a few more people are going to probably trickle in here, but let's just get going. And we are going to change a lot of people's lives, okay? Now, okay, before we start, guys, I want to tell you that this isn't just like any other workshop that you previously attended, okay? Even though I'm holding this at no cost to you guys, you're also going to get a ton of value from this. Now, you might not know this, but I was born and raised in Utah. I saw a few Utahs in the chat. And if you don't know, Utah is one of the most beautiful states in the U.S., but let's take a few pictures around Utah for those folks that haven't been around, okay? This is beautiful Lake Powell. We got Mirror Lake. I used to hike this, and I love hiking this every summer. Got Arches, Bryce Canyon, Zion's National Park. That's one of the most beautiful places on earth. And it's beautiful, right? And needless to say, Utah attracts tourists from all across the country. So how many Airbnbs do you think that I have in Utah? Let me know in the chat. Person with the closest guess, I'm going to give a high five afterwards. I have none. Okay, 0. And no, it's not about the laws or regulations. And I'm going to reveal a solution, guys, for later on as well in the session. But the reason isn't what you think it is. Okay. And again, I'm going to reveal all that later on. But first, I want to cover the most important stuff of how you can make money with Airbnbs in the next 84 days. And again, that's what this workshop's all about. That's why you guys are all here. So a lot of people, they previously attended the workshop. I'm going to show you what they've said about this workshop, just so you guys can see that this is legit. So we have Cuss here, just attended the workshop, went over so much content in such a small amount of time. I feel like you're going to crush it. I don't even have a property yet. His plan is like no other, and if you follow, you can succeed. That's right, guys. This workshop that I'm about to share with you is going to be packed with so much info. So please take out, a paper and pen. If you're old school, pull up a Word document to take notes, all right? Here's another attendee. The Q&A was stellar and full of helpful answers. And again, at the end, guys, I'm going to do a workshop and I'm going to conduct a Q&A session to answer all your questions. So if you have any questions, just make sure that you note them down as we go along. I'm sure questions will arise, and I'm going to be answering as many questions at the end of this webinar. Okay. One more, Billy. Learned your 3 secrets of Airbnb arbitrage. Appreciate that you're going through the live demos to identify potential properties. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with. Okay, so when I reveal my 3 secrets of Airbnb arbitrage, I'm also going to show you in real time how to implement everything that you've learned in this class together. Because again, I value you guys' times and I want you to get as much out of this as possible. And again, if you have 0 experience, you don't have to worry. All you have to do is follow everything I'm about to tell you in this live class today, and you could be making $2,500 a month from a single property within the next 12 weeks. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, that's really not possible. In 12 weeks, I don't know anything about business, don't know anything about Airbnb or real estate. How is this going to work? Well, if you know exactly what to do and how to do it, guys, then 12 weeks is more than enough time to acquire your first property and start earning from it. In fact, Dustin, who's one of my students, he attended a previous workshop of mine, and he acquired his first property in literally 35 days. And when he first started his journey, he was a complete beginner, like a lot of you guys here. He had no idea where to start, didn't have any cash flow from other sources. He was working a corporate job and he wasn't happy with no matter how much or how hard he worked. He had to start from ground zero every 12 months. And if you're in sales, and you probably understand that. And if you're in corporate or just working in any job, that you probably feel that, right? Now, all the hard work that he put in the previous year was thrown out the window. And that's why he wanted to start something on his own. And after 35 days, guys, he acquired his first property. That's going to net him $3,500 a month on average. And that's $42,000 in his first 12 months. In fact, this property that I'm talking about generated $10,000 in gross revenue in just the first 16 days alone. So if you know what you're doing, it's totally possible to acquire in 12 weeks, guys. And by the way, at the end of this workshop, I have a guest who's coming on who's going to join us live. His name is Robert and one of my students. And hear this, of all the students I have, Robert is probably the best at finding properties and even better at negotiating with landlords. And as far as I can remember, he declined like 4 or 5 landlords in just the last 30 days alone, right? So he knows how to get landlords interested in renting out their properties to him. And he's actually passing on properties, which, is something that's funny to hear because a lot of people even struggle to get people interested. So make sure you stay until the end to hear from the man himself so you can pick up a lesson or two. He has a bunch of golden nuggets that he's about to share too. Okay, and then another one, Alvaro. He's one of my students. It took him literally 7 days to find a property, guys, and acquire it, lock it down. And now I'm not going to promise you guys that you're going to find a property in 7 days, but what I am saying is if you take massive action, then I promise you guys, if you follow what I'm about to teach you in this live class, there's literally no reason why not every single person here can't get a property in the next 12 weeks. So without further ado, guys, let's jump right into it. So right now is the best time ever to profit from Airbnbs. And this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest disruptions that we've seen in the travel industry in a long, long time. And I'm going to explain why. So in 2016, Airbnb had 52 million bookings for the whole year. And then 4 years later, guys, in 2020, when the travel industry was hit hardest by the pandemic, Airbnb had 193 million bookings. So that's 4 times more than what it was 4 years ago. And this proves that even during unstable times and, in recessions, people are still going to travel, right? The durations are going to be shorter, sure. But the destinations are going to be closer. They're still going to travel though, right? So last year it had 300 million bookings. That's over 155% more increase than the previous year. And the latest data, more than 2 million people stay in an Airbnb every single night. So as you can probably already imagine, a lot of people are already cashing in on this opportunity. So in 2020, guys, of all the states that you can see here, they had an average earnings of $25,000 per year. And then 2021, every single state in this picture had an average earnings of at least $41,000. And although the numbers for 2022 aren't out yet, guys, even if we consider it a small improvement to $50,000, that translates to $4,000 per month. And by the way, I said you can make $2,500 a month from a single Airbnb unit. So as you can see from the stats here, making $2,500 a month from a property isn't some kind of moonshot, right? This is literally mathematical certainty because the numbers that you saw on the screen, they're not limited to established hosts. Even new hosts in the US saw an increase in income last year. They earned over $1.8 billion in total. So that's a 34% increase than what they did in 2019. So again, guys, if you're looking for a second source of income, a side hustle, another business, this is just something that you can't ignore anymore, okay? But I already know a lot of people are probably thinking about this. Let's address the elephant in the room, okay? And I'm talking about the recession. Now, everyone's hoping that things would return back to normal in 2022, but obviously that hasn't been the case, right? There's the pandemic, the supply chain disruptions, rising inflation. There's just a lot of different, reasons that are bringing our economy on the brink of recession. Now, there isn't any sort of universally accepted definition of a recession, but the media, the government, the economists, they're all discussing when it might arrive. Now, on the other hand, us consumers, we already believe it's here, right? Because even if it's not by definition a recession, it sure as hell feels, tastes, and stings like a recession, right? And then we have inflation, which keeps reaching new highs. It was as high as 9.1% a couple months ago. But we got food prices up, commodities, gas up 50%. We all know it's more than 9.1%, right? That's probably something that a lot of us can agree on. Well, here's the thing, guys. With every crisis, there comes an opportunity. And here it came in the form of rents. So as inflation rose, so did the rent. Now, according to a recent study, rents in most major markets were up double digits in early 2022. And in the last decade, the average annual rent increase has outpaced the average annual wage inflation by a whopping 270%. So needless to say, guys, the increase in rent also means that you can charge more for your Airbnbs and make more money during these confusing times of recession and inflation. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the company Airbnb was actually founded during the 2008 financial crisis. And that's actually probably one of the worst economic recessions that we've seen like pretty much ever. Now, it's pretty similar, similar to right now. The recession, was settling in. There was, massive layoffs. And while most businesses were struggling, Airbnb thrived. So if you're wondering what happens if the short-term stays decrease during a recession, in that case, you can also switch to a midterm stay. So for example, one of my students named Monique, she's making $1,800 a month in cash flow by renting her Airbnb out to traveling nurses. Okay. So regardless of inflation or recession, business professionals like traveling nurses, they're always going to need a place to stay, right? Now, this means that even during a recession, guys, you can make decent cash flow with your Airbnb, which is much higher and better than traditional rentals. And by the way, guys, later on in this workshop, I'm going to reveal how to set up a top-performing midterm rental to tackle the recession. So if you're concerned about a recession or inflation, and you're looking at a business that's going to make you money in all economic cycles, right now is the best time to start this business. And also, the holiday season is just around the corner. Christmas is coming, New Year's. So if you start now, guys, you can hit the ground running as this demand surges in the next few weeks and the coming months because, pretty much across the board, the summer months is when, the bookings are going to be strongest anyway. All right. So, and again, I know some people here are probably worrying about competition, but Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky told CNBC in an interview that Airbnb is going to need millions of new hosts to meet demand as travel picks up again. So the speed at which the company Airbnb is growing, there's more than enough for everyone. Okay, but with that being said, let's focus on today's agenda. So again, in our small amount of time together, my goal is to open your eyes to this new opportunity of Airbnb arbitrage. Now, for me personally, I wasted over 4 years of my life and hundreds of thousands of dollars doing traditional rentals. Okay. So instead, if I had started with Airbnb, I would have succeeded much quicker with this. All right. And I also wanted to show you the path that you have to follow to be able to make $100,000 per year semi-passively. Now, I get DMs every day from people who want to start their Airbnb business, but they're completely overwhelmed and confused, frankly. They ask me questions like, should I find a property or should I get an LLC first? Or Preston, how do I convince a landlord to lease me their property? What if they say no? There's so many of these questions that they ask me. And so I wanted to, compile all these in this live class. So I'm going to answer all that and more in the next 90 minutes. Okay. Now, a lot of people ask me also, why am I doing this? Right? Because so I'm going to explain that. So back about 5 years ago, it took me 4 to 5 years to become financially free after starting my real estate journey. And for me personally, that was my biggest achievement to this date. Not having to rely on my monthly paycheck at work and having the freedom to work on different projects that I like is the exact reason why the Legacy Investing Show is about. And that's probably how a lot of you guys found me. And I want to help people achieve financial independence like I did, right? Because I currently have over 750 students where I work closely with them. But the thing is, I only take 50 people at once, okay? Because I want to ensure that everyone stays on the right track and succeed quickly, okay? So with that being said, I want to help more than 50 people, obviously, right? There's a lot more than 50 people here. And that's exactly why I conduct these workshops where I teach people how to build an Airbnb business from scratch through this workshop at no cost. And I love giving back to the community. I love to be able to spend time together with you guys because I don't get to do these often. So super, super pumped to get going here. And again, you're going to see for yourself that you're going to learn more in this session than you're going to learn in most paid programs. That's my guarantee and my promise to you. And again, this is going to be like watching one Game of Thrones episode, okay? So except at the very end, you're not going to, wonder what's going to happen to, Daenerys Targaryens or whatever those Game of Thrones characters are. I'm going to show you how to make a lot of money at the end. But again, my only ask for you, because I am dedicating my time where I could be spending time with my family, I'm going to spend time with you, is all I ask is that you take notes, focus, remove distractions, and I promise you this is going to be the most valuable 90 minutes of your life. And I know people have asked already, this isn't going to be recorded, okay? Because I want you guys to pay attention because the info that I'm about to share to you can change your life, and it's already changed so many people's lives. So I promise you it's going to be worth it. Okay, so 6 years ago, I had a safe corporate job. I didn't have real estate, no idea how to start a business, no idea what I would do if I didn't have that job, but I still made it work. And a lot of people are probably going to wonder how I did that. So I'm going to talk about all that in a second. But first, let me tell you what this web class is not going to help you get. You're not going to make $2,500 a month in passive income just by watching this webinar. I'm not a make money rich guru, okay? Now, when I first started, my goal was to not become a millionaire in 30 days. At first, it was just to pay my bills and quit my job initially, okay? So let's say you have a $100,000 per year paying job, okay? That's $8,300 a month. So if you get an Airbnb that makes you $2,500 a month, you just need 3 to 4 Airbnbs making you $2,500 a month each to replace your salary and quit your job. So again, guys, my goal with this webinar isn't to make you become a millionaire, but instead, I'm going to show you how it's possible to quit your job and make the same money working 2 to 3 hours a day max. All right. Okay. So this is a screenshot of my earnings on just 2 of my properties for this year. One of which didn't go live until April. So let me actually show you a little sneak peek behind my dashboard. I know a lot of people like to be nosy and see this. So let me show you this. All right. So this is for one of my properties last year, or sorry, for November. Just over $14,000 for the month. Let's go over to another property here. I got to go all the way back, guys. Just give me a moment. Let's take a look at this one. So November, $16,000. So guys, I'm showing you guys, these are like screenshots of my earnings that I'm getting every single month. So guys, just imagine you guys can be doing this in the next 6 to 12 months, working just a couple hours a day, because I promise you it's totally possible. Okay. Or even just $6,000 a month, guys. How will that change your life, guys? Would you be able to, finally pay off some debt? Or would you finally be able to go buy that golf kit you always wanted? Or would you finally be able to one step closer to leaving your job? Because I left mine after I hit $6,000 per month. And by the way, the journey of me helping people started when my friends and family started asking me for advice around real estate and Airbnbs, okay? So I decided to personally mentor a lot of them, give them a roadmap which they could follow. So on the screen here, you're seeing my cousin John, and he started getting his Airbnb set up, several months ago now, and he's making $8,500 a month in cash flow. So when I saw the results that I could, get for people like John and a couple other people I'm about to show you here in a bit, I realized that if this is all it took for me to change a few lives, why not do the same for thousands of other people? And that's how the Legacy Investing Show was born. There's been over 3 million people that have been impacted. I get thousands of DMs almost weekly about what I do, what I invest in. And I physically can't respond to everyone, even if I wanted to. But that's when the light bulb moment went off. I was, making really good money on Airbnb, and I even matched the cash flow for my traditional rentals that it took me 3.5 to 4 years to build. But with Airbnb, it took me 3 months to match that. Okay. So I saw how powerful the strategy could be to get the average person to get a cash flow producing property with, little capital in 3 months or less. And that's exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. Okay. So I started back in January 2021, and my goal initially was just to help, a handful of people. But in the last, 24 months, we've grown to over 3 million followers, been featured on Business Insider, Yahoo, Financial Times, Inc. Magazine. It's been, an awesome ride. All right. Now I get this question a lot as well. Is this going to work for me? So this is on the screen here is going to work. It doesn't matter if you're a corporate job, local business owner, entrepreneur, retired. It really doesn't matter as long as you can dedicate 2 hours per day working on this business. All right. Now, also, you don't need any previous business experience or hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. This is literally the most beginner-friendly model that I see right now. Now, this whole business model, guys, this webinar, to make this work, you need a couple things. First, you need a minimum of $10,000 in capital, okay? As the saying goes, it takes money to make money. The willingness also to dedicate 2 hours per day for about 4 to 5 days per week for this business as well. Now, if that sounds like you, then I promise you're going to love what I have to share. So a little bit more intro on me. My name is Preston. I'm the face behind the Legacy Investing Show. Became a millionaire by the age of 28. I own over 50 plus rental units across 4 states. They're all worth about $10 million now, and I'm currently cash flowing about $100,000 per month for my businesses. Okay, just to let you know that I'm legit. I know what I'm talking about. All right, so let's take a look at one of my listings. All right, now when you're scrolling through social media or even Airbnb, like I'm sure a lot of you guys have stayed in an Airbnb. The first thing you probably notice are the pictures, right? Now, the first 5 photos, especially the first one, is going to be the most important thing. And what you need to do is, capture people's attention right off the bat. So once they see this first picture, they're going to click on your photo, and these are the next 4 photos they're going to see. So these 4 photos, these 5 photos, really need to sell your listing so that people want to learn more about your property. All right. Now, the second important thing here is the listing description. All right. So what we typically do is we have a 3 to 4 sentence description to really kind of highlight what we have to offer. All right. So here the things that our property offers. So we typically do in a bullet point list because a lot of people hate to read, including me. And if they want to learn more about the property, they can of course kind of read through here. All right. Now the next thing is our reviews, because at the end of the day, this is a hospitality business, right? Because you need to provide excellent customer service and then have a great property to go with it if you want to, get good reviews like this. All right. So, just kind of reading through, we had a wonderful stay. If you are able to provide 5-class service, with your reviews, with your property, with pretty much everything along with this business that I'm about to share, you're going to get reviews like this and you're going to print money on your properties. I promise. So here's another one of our properties. Same thing applies. Pictures, description, reviews, obviously getting the superhero status. And this is all going to be super important if you want to have a top performing property on Airbnb. Okay, let's back up a little bit more. Okay, so I started working a corporate job in June of 2018. And here's me celebrating with my dog. And as you can see, I was super, super stoked. And this is because this is what I expected the 9-to-5 to look like. But instead, it looked like this. From day one, I had a feeling that I didn't belong there. I remember, sitting in the office and I was wondering how there was no way that I was going to be doing that until retirement. Okay. Now, it wasn't about the people, around me seeming unhappy, right? Because a lot of my coworkers were actually friendly and they got along with each other. But that was what made me feel so uneasy, because the fact that they were okay with this lifestyle. Now, I used to wonder, how could someone be happy living just for the weekend, right? And I remember a few months into the job, guys, I started getting the Sunday scaries pretty bad, because that meant that after the weekend was over, I had to do another 5 days of work. My routine looked like this. It was go to work, come home, maybe watch a few shows, because that was, all the energy that I had after work. And then I went to bed. That's literally it. And I'm sure a lot of you guys here can relate to that. And I hated that I had to ask my boss for permission to take time off. And even if I was allowed to take time off, guys, that would hurt my chances of promotion, because there's always someone out there that's, Jimmy, in accounting, he's always going to stay longer, work longer hours than you because he doesn't have a life. So there's always going to be something in the way of getting that promotion. And I hated that someone else controlled my present and my future. So I decided to make a change. Now, I made a plan to get out of the corporate life, or the matrix, as everybody likes to call it. And I had two goals for this. Okay. So first was I needed to stop trading time for money, and I wanted to eventually build generational wealth. And secondly, I didn't want to do the same boring thing just for the sake of a cash, or, sake of more cash or a promotion in the future. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to tell my wife that I quit my multi-6-figure corporate job to make money day trading or reselling things in the US that I bought from China. All right. Now, no hate, I'm not throwing shade. Like, there's nothing wrong with day trading or selling on Amazon, but those business models just didn't feel right for me. All right. And that's really where it all began. So when I was younger, I used to wonder, why are all the rich guys chasing real estate? People keep talking about real estate, but why? Okay. And I knew wealthy people own real estate, but I didn't really understand why or how to get started. Then I started talking more and more to a friend who was an investor, and he started to help me, he started teaching me things about concepts like debt, leverage, and why actually the rich guys are, chasing real estate. So initially I thought that getting into real estate, you needed hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. Okay. But it took me 5 years to find out that Airbnb arbitrage is a way better business model. And if the goal is to build your consistent monthly cash flow every month. All right. Now we're going to get into all that. We're going to deep dive into all that, but I just want to make sure that you guys kind of get the backstory of this. So what I ended up doing was I started to listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, and I started to understand why real estate made sense. Right. And I would finally start having conversations with my friend on the phone. And, eventually we started to have better conversations because it slowly started to make sense to me. So I did a bunch of research, started attending real estate events in my area. And that's where I met my mentor. All right. He helped me understand why and how real estate makes you wealthy. And then a few months after I started my job, I bought a 4-unit property. I lived in one side and then I rented out the rest. So guys, I was literally getting paid to live at my property. And I'm going to show you in a few minutes how to learn all this if you want to do the same. And again, being able to get paid to live somewhere is like a completely, completely flips the script of what we're all taught and learned growing up, right? So this is the property that I bought. It was September 12th of 2018 is when I bought it. Now, at some point in your life, guys, you probably have thought about getting to real estate as well. And you probably some of you might have already invested some of your money into it. But the thing is, you're probably struggling to make meaningful money with it. And that's probably because you're following the hard way, right? Now, most people don't know this, but there are 2 ways to make money from real estate. First is the hard way that everyone knows about. And second is the easy way that not many people know about, all right? Now, the hard way in this case is the traditional way of real estate. And this is the exact same thing that I did for the first 5 years myself. And this old way, it has problems. Like, it requires a lot of capital. The cash flow is typically like 10% of that of Airbnb. The cash on cash returns are significantly lower. The units get way more wear and tear because, the tenants are really living in there, costing way more maintenance and repairs. There's also a lot more competition in regular real estate investing. And the upfront costs are way higher. I think the lowest I've ever spent on a property was like $30,000 to $40,000 that I was making like $200 a month in cash flow. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with real estate. Okay. Because I just told you, I love real estate. I get into it. But for the normal average person, that doesn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not the best return on investment of your money. And once I realized this after 5 years, something crazy happened. Okay. So take a look at this graph. So from January 2017 to December 2021, it took me 5 years to build a cash flow of $6,000 per month. Now, a lot of you guys are probably like, that's great. Like, I would, love to be in that position. But for me and for a lot of people, that's a totally slow and hard way to make money because I literally had to grind to make that $6,000 a month. But from January 2022 to March 2022, I went from $6,000 to $12,000 per month in cash flow. And then the next 4 months after that, I went from $12,000 to $18,000 per month. So with this new way that I was, investing into real estate, I literally tripled my 5 years of real estate success in 7 months. And again, with this workshop, guys, I'm going to help you get out of this phase of the trial and error and the slow growth that I had to go through. And I cannot stress enough, guys, how lucky you guys are just to have found out about Airbnb arbitrage and you're here right now in this live class. Because if I knew about Airbnbs back when I started, I would be way further ahead than I am right now. And this is the main reason why I like this new model, because overall, this business makes way more sense than anything I've seen to this date. And again, with this model, you can start with as little as $10,000. Anyone can save this amount of money without taking on debt if they want it bad enough. I'm a firm believer of that. You can also get a new property every few months that it's going to make you $2,500 a month in cash flow. So with literally 4 months of profit, you can go and get another one, rinse and repeat. The third reason, and the reason why you're able to scale so quickly, is because the returns are so much quicker. Because a lot of the times you can get your initial capital back in 4 to 5 months. And in this case, it's very much possible, as you saw with what I'm doing and what my other students are doing, right? And of all the real estate models, guys, I've tried to this date, this is the most beginner-friendly business model I've seen. And anyone can start this, even if you have zero experience with real estate, okay? And another huge reason, I like my time. I like to spend time with my family, my friends. And that's another huge reason why I like this business, because I can automate most of it. Because most of the times I'm working less than 30 minutes to an hour a week to run this business. All right. Like, that's another huge thing, what I love about this. And again, another thing that I like about this is you can manage this business from literally anywhere you want. I was in Mexico, last week, and I could run my business from literally anywhere. All I had to have was a laptop and an internet connection. Okay. Plus, this is a cash flow generating business in a rapidly growing industry. I mean, you guys saw how much I'm making from this month alone, or from last month. The numbers for December aren't in yet, but it's going to be the strongest that I'll show you guys here a little bit later. And the next thing is you need zero debt. Okay. Now, I'm not against using debt, and that's something that I love about real estate. But for this model, you don't have to have a single dollar debt to acquire these properties. So if you're worried about having to take out a loan, you don't have to. All right. Now, with that being said, we all know that no business model is perfect, right? But again, this model is as close as it gets. So if you haven't guessed by now, it's called Airbnb arbitrage. Now, a lot of you guys already know what Airbnb arbitrage is, but a lot of you guys might be seeing this term for the first time. So let's all get to the similar baseline level of everyone, so everyone knows where we are. Okay. So with this new business model, guys, basically what you're going to do to understand this Airbnb arbitrage model is first you want to understand how the traditional Airbnb model works. All right. So the traditional model, how it works is, guys, sometimes, you have to put down hundreds of thousands of dollars to go and buy real estate, right? A lot of the times you have to put down, 10 or 20%, sometimes even 25%. And a lot of the times that's like, anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 that you have to put down to go and purchase those properties. Okay. Now, the thing with Airbnb arbitrage is that you can go to the landlords directly that already have purchased the property. And basically you're using their properties with their permission, of course, to rent it out on Airbnb. And then you're going to pocket the difference of the rent that you pay the landlord versus the money that you're making from Airbnb, obviously managing all the, the ins and outs of the business. Okay. Now, quick side note. I want to make sure that you guys are with me. So in the chat, if you're still with me, give me a capital yes, so that I know you guys are still with me. Okay. Because I promise you, we're about to get into the good stuff. But let me fill up the chat. Let's see the energy going, because I've been talking for a while and I want you guys to have a chance to talk as well. Give me a yes if you're ready, if you're with me. All right, we got the yeses flooding in. Dope. Okay. I just want you guys to know that, guys, I know some of you guys are joining late. I'm under the weather, but I'm trying to bring the energy for you guys. So I promise you guys it's going to get juicy. I promise you it's going to get even crazier. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for bringing the energy. This is like, seriously, you guys are like literally giving me energy, because I haven't been having this much energy the entire day. So, all right, let's get into it. All right. So Airbnb arbitrage, this is where it comes in. All right. So again, like I said, you're going to acquire this property from an owner and then sublease it on Airbnb. And after that, you're going to set up the property. You're going to communicate with the guests. You're going to handle all the other aspects of the business as well. So again, your profit is going to be your rent plus your expenses minus, all the income that you're generating. And that's what it's going to be your profit. All right. Now, before I move on to the 3 secrets that I'm about to share, I'm going to break down everything. I'm also going to break down the initial investment that's required. And the typical initial investment that I see, and obviously it's going to depend on how big your property is roughly around $10,000. And it's pretty common to make $2,500 a month in cash flow with that $10,000. So what that means, guys, is that your initial investment is going to get paid back within the first 4 to 5 months after acquiring your property. So that's why you can see that the compounding effect of this model is incredibly impressive, right? And that's another huge reason why I'm a huge business or a fan of this business model and how I was able to scale so quickly. Now that you guys know more about my backstory, and also, how I was able to, kind of figure out this business model on a high level. Now I'm going to share with you my 3 big secrets of Airbnb arbitrage. Okay. So this is where you're going to want to listen, take your notes, put away distractions. This is what's going to make you money, save you loads of money, and also save you from wasting years like I did. All right. So here are the 3 secrets. Secret number 1 is how to find your profitable hot properties without wasting thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours. Okay. Secret number 2 is my personal negotiation secrets that are going to save you $13,540 per property. Now, I already know what people are going to say. There's a lot of people that are, afraid that they aren't good at sales or are good negotiators. But I'm going to show you that even if you're an introvert, you don't have to be good at sales or negotiating. Okay, promise. Secret number 3 is how to make an extra $27,000 per year for every property and automate 86% of your business. All right. Now, this is the part where I'm going to show you how you can run the operations of your business without having to spend 8 to 10 hours a day in the business. Because initially, that's what I thought you had to do in order to get into Airbnb, which is, kind of the reason why I wasn't really interested in it, right? But if you automate things and you have your processes in place, then you can really do this business semi-passively, all right? Now, one more thing. I didn't plan on sharing these 3 secrets, but I also have an absolutely free surprise for you guys as well. After I share my 3 secrets, that's not a part of the original presentation, guys, that I promise you're going to love. So don't leave early. I promise you I'm just getting started on how good this is about to get, okay? So secret number 1 is how to find highly profitable properties, all right? So one of the first things that people ask me when they get into this business is, what if I acquire a property but don't get bookings and I'm stuck paying the rent? Now, this is a very common and valid concern, right? But because most people don't understand why some Airbnbs are getting booked throughout the year while others are struggling, okay? And the biggest reason this happens is because they acquire the wrong ones and they can't find properties that give them a chance of being profitable, Okay. So they're losing money every single month. They're not getting bookings, but we can avoid this. And I'm going to show you this framework that allows me to find Airbnbs that get booked all year round. All right. So to start with, you should ask some questions to narrow down your focus. Now, I want to remind you guys that to keep taking notes, you can take screenshots for your future reference as well. Now, the first question that you should ask when you're searching for a property is the market active? I like to say 8 months, but it even can be 7 months out of the year. All right. So this ensures that you can get steady cash flow for the better part of the year. Now, the seasonality factor is mainly just more of people's preference, because there's markets like Park City, Utah, for example, that are getting huge bookings during the winter months that can make up for the slower summer months, right? But for me, I like to have consistent cash flow, even if it's not huge spikes, where I can make consistent cash flow throughout the year. Now, that's just my personal philosophy that I like to follow. But again, people are making a killing in different markets that are mostly seasonal. What ultimately matters, guys, though, is at the end of the day, the numbers are going to work out for you. Now, the second thing that you should look at is, does the city have attractions? Okay. So for example, is there a beach nearby, or is there some sort of famous tourist destination draw that people go to? I even looked at to see if there's hospitals or corporate businesses nearby. And if that isn't the case, don't worry about it, guys. The goal here mainly is to narrow down to a few markets as fast as possible. Then you should ask yourself, if I was browsing on Airbnb, why would I book this property in particular, right? Because ideally, your property should have something that stands out from other properties, something that's unique. And then another thing that I like to ask myself is, can I create an experience around this property, right? So, is it located near a canal or, a lake? And this is also something that I like to make it memorable for my guests, right? Because a lot of these people are traveling. It's like their 1 or 2 vacations for the year. And of course, they're going to want to stay at a place where they can, make memories with their families, right? I also look at properties that can, have a pool, vaulted ceilings, depending on, the different type of market that you're on or you're in, and so on. Now, another thing, I also like to check what there is to do in the area. Okay. This sounds simple, but it does make a world of difference. Okay. Now, the truth is, you're not going to find a perfect market where you're booked every single month, every single day, because if your occupancy rate is more than 90%, then it typically means that you're not charging enough. Okay. So don't overcomplicate it. Go through the steps that I just outlined, and I promise you'll find a market that makes sense. Okay. So let's get into the, nitty gritty details here. Okay. All right. Zillow.com. First of all, you want to go there, look for places for rent. And then look to see, if a property stands out to you, okay? This could be a nicely renovated place, a nice pool, big vaulted ceilings, and so on. Then once you find a property that you want to investigate further, then go to copy and paste the address and go to data.rabbu.com, which is a free data aggregator, which pulls numbers from VRBO and Airbnb directly. And you're going to want to see what the property can generate, all right? Now, the number that it spits out, it's not going to be perfect, but it's a good indicator to see how a property is going to perform. And then to get a more accurate number for your property, you're going to want to filter the listings depending on what amenities your property has. Okay. So things like how many guests you can sleep. Does it have a pool? Does it have a hot tub? Things like that. All right. And then depending on the filters, the site's going to spit out what the average revenue projection is per month for your property. Now, a lot of people just take this number like, oh, great. This number is either going to make money or it's not going to make money. But we want to dig a little bit further into it. All right. So what you're going to want to do next is you want to go into the actual comparables below to get a more accurate representation of how your property is going to perform. And from there, you can take the average daily rate, the occupancy rate, and also the revenue of the comparables that you find. That's more like the property that you found. And then you're going to plug those numbers into my Airbnb arbitrage calculator, and then you're going to see what your cash flow and your cash on cash return is going to look like to determine if it's a good investment or not. Okay, now a lot of you guys probably are thinking that's very complicated. That you went through a lot of softwares and numbers, and that's usually the first reaction that I get. So guys, I'm going to spend the next 5 to 7 minutes doing this whole process for y'all live. All right. And again, I want to remind you guys in the chat, save your questions until the end. All right, because I'm going to answer all your questions at the end. So if you're still with me, give me some fire. Let's run up the fire emojis again. Okay. Let me know in the chat if you're ready for me to do this live demo, to show you live, to get going, show you profitable property. If you're ready for this, give me a fire emoji. Love it. Seeing all the fire emojis. Loving the energy tonight, guys. You guys are killing it. All right, you guys ready to do this live demo? Okay, let's do this. All right, first things first, head over to Zillow.com for rent. We're over here in Memphis, Tennessee. So shout out to all my Memphis, Tennessee folks. And again, same things apply like I mentioned, all right? First of all, you want to, filter by rent, of course. And then you also want to determine your budget. Whether that's, if you're a baller, you can spend up to $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per month. And then your bedroom, bathroom count, home type, and so on, all right? And the next, you want to start scrolling through these properties on Zillow.com. And then, again, look for properties that stand out to you, right? Things that are, brand new, newly updated, right? Or if it has a pool or just anything really that captures your attention. And then once you find a property that you want to dig into further, so, let's say for this property, for example, right? Once you find a property, you're going to copy and paste this address, because as you can see here, the pictures, look good. They listed this for, about just over $2,000 per month. From here, let's head over to data.rabu.com. All right. So once we come over here, those 4 bedrooms, we're going to search this address. And then, like I mentioned before, it's going to spit out this monthly, whatever, like the average of the surrounding properties here. All right. So again, just a reminder, data.rabu, this is a complete free site. And it's going to pull data directly from Airbnb and VRBO, just to give you an estimate to see, what we're looking at as far as, what we can charge for our properties, right? So this is what the average says out, but we want to dig a little bit further into this and see what the comps are actually showing, all right? So let's kind of scroll down here. So here's a property here. So let's kind of scroll through the properties or the pictures. So, I mean, they've done a nice job, decorating this place. And so they're getting $331 a night at a 73% occupancy rate. All right. Now, just off first glance, we don't really know if this is going to make sense for our property. So what we're going to want to do next is we're going to, keep in mind this comp that we found, and then we're going to head over to my Airbnb arbitrage calculator. Okay. So here's my Airbnb arbitrage calculator, and I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this. I'm going to take this kind of one step at a time. So let's focus on here on the left first. All right. So the main things that you want to focus on is plugging in the bedroom count and the common space count. So the common spaces is like anything like a game room, outside patio, things like that. And you want to make sure that you plug these in because it's going to pull over to these estimates over here, right? All right. So let's focus on the middle section now. So the first month's rent for that property was $20,000 or $2,040. Okay. We're going to plug in our security deposit, other fees like setting up your LLC, what do you call it? Those application fees and so on. All right. And then of course it's going to plug in, this is what it's our, estimated, number is going to be to furnish our property. So as you can see here, our initial investment to get this property up and running is just going to be over $10,000. Okay. And this property is a little bit bigger. But again, it's going to vary depending on, how big your property is or, how small it is. All right. Let's focus on the right. And this is where it becomes fun. And we're going to see how this property is going to perform. All right. You guys ready? Okay, cool. So we saw that the other property was charging $330 a night at a 73% occupancy. Okay. Now, I always like to be conservative when I run my numbers because I want to, of course, be surprised with like better cash flow than, less. And that's why I always run my numbers, even if I feel like the property that I have is going to, completely, crap over, the other property that I found. I still want to be conservative, even in those scenarios where I know for a fact that I can outcompete these other properties. Okay, so let's do it. Let's say we're doing $275 a night. So we're going to literally cut our ADR by like, $60 or whatever that is at a 70% occupancy rate, okay? Then we're going to plug in all our expenses to run this. So insurance, utilities, your cable internet, your software and all that, okay? And then we want to focus down here. So for this property, after we plug in all of our expenses, the main metrics that I look at, first and foremost, is the cash on cash return. Okay, this right here, which is a 324%. And so basically, if you guys don't know what cash on cash return means, cash on cash returns means the amount of cash that you are getting back for the amount of cash that you're putting in, right? So for this example, we put in just over $10,000 in initial capital, right? And our net operating income, or the money that we're getting back, is just over $33,000 for the year. Okay. So the way we get this cash on cash return number is $33,000, $30 divided by this $10,000 share here. So just to put that into perspective of how crazy high this number is, guys, like I personally like to get anywhere from a 10 to 15% cash on cash return for my long-term rentals. Okay. Now, as you can see here, this is like, I don't even know what how many X percentage higher this is, but as you can see, it's crazy, crazy high. And the cash flow, the second number that I look at is my cash flow per month. So after all expenses are paid, this property could generate $2,700 a month in cash flow. Okay. Now, a lot of people, might be saying, okay, well, that's like in a, even though I'm being conservative, let's take a look at the worst case scenario. Okay. So let's say, we're doing $225 a night, and let's say our occupancy drops by 50%. So even at a worst case scenario, our property is still going to be cash flowing $400 a month. Okay. Now let's look at the other side. Let's not even look at like the best, these like, rainbows and unicorns, average daily rates. Cause I know a lot of people like to think that their property is better than what it actually is. Let's say we're just matching the cash flow or the average daily rate and also the occupancy rate of the other property we found. And they were doing $330 a night at a 70% occupancy rate. So even in, let's say, best case scenario, this property right here is going to generate over just under $4,000 a month in cash flow, guys. Like, this is why I'm such a huge proponent of this model. And I hope you can see here, like, I'm showing you live, like with property that we found, of how powerful this strategy can be. Okay. So again, previously, if you wanted to succeed in this space, things really weren't as straightforward as they are now, right? Because you had to, sometimes network with dozens of people. You had to shortlist a few properties. And then you had to, find out the owner's contact information. And then finally, if you were able to get your hands on their info, then you had to talk to the owner and you had to try to negotiate a deal, right? Like the whole process was super time consuming, and it felt like I was living in the internet without, in the 17th century. Okay. But with the process I just showed you guys, the time to find a good property goes from a few weeks to months to a few hours max. All right. Now you might be wondering how I learned all this, because back when I started, I was like a lot of you guys here, I didn't really know much about this business. So to learn all this stuff, guys, I spent over $70,000 on courses and coaches. Like these are literally, wires that I had to send over to, some of the programs and the, masterminds I was a part of. And plus, not only just the money that I spent, but also the hundreds of hours that I relentlessly, spent trying to test all this stuff to make sure that I found something that could, work and be repeatable. Okay. So like I said, all it takes is a few hours to create a list of profitable properties like I just showed you. Okay. So let's recap secret number one. Number one, go to Zillow.com for rent and start looking through properties for rent and find properties that stand out to you. Okay. Number two is you want to find a property to investigate further, and then you're going to want to copy and paste that address and head over to data.rabby.com. Third, you want to make sure that you look into the comps depending on the amenities that your property has. And of course, finally, you want to plug in the numbers to see how your property is going to perform to see if it's a good investment or not. Right. So you can take a screenshot for future reference. I'm going to wait a second for you guys to do that. I'm going to take a quick sip of agua here. How are you guys feeling? Let's get a pulse check in the chat. Let me know how you guys are feeling. Does that make sense? Did what I just walk through? Secret number one, was that helpful to you guys? Let me know in the chat, and let's keep it rolling. Love it. Loving the energy tonight, guys. Thank you for bringing the energy, because that just makes me fired up to continue doing this, bringing the energy for you guys as well. Awesome. Okay, let's continue. So secret number two, guys, finding profitable properties doesn't mean anything if you can't convince the owner to lease it to you. Okay. So secret number two, guys, you don't have to worry about the process, because I'm going to reveal my complete process. And by the way, I created this whole process because I'm an introvert. Now, if I can reasonably be successful at this, then a lot of you guys that are introverts can do this as well, because negotiating really isn't as hard as you think it is. It's just a matter of starting it and also, breaking it down into simple steps. So I'm going to do that right here for you guys. So step number one is, if you want to catch a fish, you have to think like a fish, right? Because, a lot of us, I'm sure, like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but, if you want to catch a lot of fish, then you're probably not going to catch a lot of fish with the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? Now, what you want to do is you want to have the right bait to attract the fish, obviously, right? And obviously the fish in this example are the landlords. So it doesn't matter what you think or what you want. You have to think from a landlord's perspective if you want to convince them to acquire a property. So to close more deals, guys, you have to first understand the perspective of the landlord. And who better to ask than me, because I'm a landlord myself. I own over 40 traditional rental units that, we're in a good fit for Airbnb. Now, the point is, I have been on both sides of the conversation, so I understand, both points of view. And here's what's going through the mindset of every single landlord that's wanting to rent out their property. Okay, number one is that they want a steady passive income stream. Number two is they don't want any work on their end, and number three is they don't want any damage to their property. So if your pitch is able to solve all these three problems while also paying them a little bit extra bonus every month, why would they say no, right? And they also might be thinking, and I get asked this a lot, why would the landlord let me sublease their property rather than doing it themselves? Now, the thing is, guys, managing Airbnbs is not 100% passive business. Most landlords either don't have the time or they don't have the knowledge to run an Airbnb business, okay? People only see the huge cash flow that Airbnbs generate, but they have no idea what's going on behind the scenes that makes that property perform so well. Because if running this business was as simple as, taking a few photos on your iPhone, uploading it, and then, just like start printing money, like everyone would be doing it and nobody would be making a profit. Okay. And that's exactly why these homeowners are more than willing to hand their properties over to you. It's literally a win-win scenario, because if they choose to partner with you guys, they're actually going to make far more money. And they're also going to be able to have their properties way better taken care of. And I'm going to explain all that here in a second. But because these landlords are already in a state of mind of wanting to rent their properties out, right? Because why else would they have listed their properties on Zillow and these other sites? So if you want to all you have to do is just convince them that you're the best fit instead of someone else. Okay. So here's what you want to do as you are pitching these landlords. All right. So I typically say something along the lines of, a little background on me. I'm a real estate investor and I operate a corporate housing company. And I'd like to see if we could be a good fit for one another, as I differ from a traditional tenant. Now, this arrangement has worked out extremely well with other landlords and property managers, and I'm confident that I'm going to be one of the most valuable tenants that you've ever had. And step number 3, guys, is to explain to them why it's a win-win scenario. And here's how you can do that. So again, they want steady passive income. So you're going to say, you're a business and you're not a tenant who can leave whenever they want, okay? Because the rent's always going to be paid on time. And that's the most important thing for landlords, guys, is making sure that their rent is going to be paid. So you really want to hammer in on this point, and you're more than halfway there. Second point, I don't want any work on my end. So you can say, I manage the property from top to bottom. Most tenants are living in the property day in and day out. And I'm sure you've seen with, each turnover, you have to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get the unit back up and ready to rent again. So with me, there's going to be much less wear and tear on the property. And it's, not only important for your property, but it's also important for my business that I manage the property well as possible. And also my professional cleaners are going to come in and clean the property 2 to 3 times a week. And, a lot of the times I'm going to handle a lot of the smaller maintenance issues myself so that I can get them done quickly in order to have a better experience for my guests. So again, this is a win-win, guys. Like, not only is this a business model where, you have to convince landlords, it's actually going to be the best business model for them in a lot of cases. Now, the third concern that they're going to have is I don't want my property to get damaged. So for things like this, you can say, I screen my guests before accepting every single one. So I, ask them thorough questions. Now, if you don't know, guys, usually the guests who cause the most trouble, this is generally speaking, are the ones that live in the same city. Okay. They also give vague answers to your questions. They have a history of bad reviews. They ask for discounts typically, and they try to book on the same day. Now, again, these are just some red flags that I've noticed, but these aren't always going to be the case. But these are some of the factors. Like, let's say you get 3 or 4 out of, these 5. Then it's probably going to be a red flag where you don't want to accept their booking. So by looking at these factors, guys, you can avoid most of the trouble-making guests. And you can also add that you install noise detectors to avoid parties and over-communicate with guests so that you're preventing any damage or any parties at their property. Okay. So if you gave me this pitch, you came to me professional, I would 100% say yes to this, guys. In fact, I've used these exact same points while pitching other landlords for Airbnb arbitrage, and it's worked like a charm. Okay, so step number 4. Once you come to an agreement, guys, let's talk about how you can get some freebies. All right. So first and foremost, you want to push the date out of your lease at least 3 to 6 weeks if you can. What this is going to do, it's going to save you money on when you order furniture because you don't have to start paying rent until your commencement date. So if your rent, let's say it was $3,000 per month, you can push it out your commencement date, let's say 3 weeks. So you're saving $2,100 right off the bat. And if you have good credit history and a good history of, just making payments in general, then you can even ask for half the security deposit. Okay. Now, a lot of the times they're going to ask you why. And what you're going to want to tell them is that you're reserving their budget to invest back into their property, because what you're going to do with that money is going to create a better experience overall for your clients. Now, some of you might be saying, there's no way they would do that, but I'm speaking from experience here, guys. Once you secure a property and you're confident in the pitch and you go through these bullet points and they understand why you're the best person to go with, you can also send big furniture directly to the property. And that's another $1,000 savings that you're going to have on U-Hauls, storage units, and movers. So again, knowing what you know now, negotiating deals, building relationships with landlords are going to be 10 times easier. All right. Now, there aren't any scripts that you have to memorize to make this work. The best strategy that I found is to have a genuine conversation with the other person and then negotiate from a position of abundance. All right. And if you do those things, I promise you the deal is going to be yours. So let me share an interesting incident that happened with one of my students, Jenna. All right. So a few months ago, Jenna approached a landlord to do Airbnb arbitrage with their property. Okay. This property had received over 400 offers, many of which were offering something similar to what Jenna was offering. 400 offers. Okay. So the odds were obviously heavily stacked against her. Now, at first, the owner asked for her for references, and so she provided them. And then after having a proper chat, something crazy happened. The owner declined all the other proposals and then closed the deal with Jenna. Now, the reason is the property owner was so impressed with her strong pitch and follow-up. Right? Now, so with secret number 3, guys, I'm going to show you how you can run your business on autopilot. Okay. Now, the thing is, most people that want to get Airbnbs or they want Airbnbs to be passive, they're going to hire out a property management company. But what they don't know is that they're going to take anywhere from 20 to 35% of your top line revenue. All right. So to put that into perspective, let's say you're doing $100,000 per year in revenue with your property. Their management fee, let's say it's 27%. They're literally taking $27,000 per year out of your pocket. So I'm going to show you how you can do this at literally a tenth of the cost. Now, during my initial days of running Airbnbs, my real estate, my social media business, I was completely overwhelmed and exhausted. Okay. I didn't know how to scale further, and I had no idea if I wanted to continue what I was doing because I was putting in like 12 to 14 hour days. Then I talked to one of my mentors, guys, and he told me about how he's automating his business with the help of VAs. So for those of you that don't know what VAs are, they're virtual assistants. And so you can go overseas, and they're typically a fraction of the cost of, what, people, like here in the States here, for example, are charging. Okay. But a lot of the times they're way more qualified and they do a better job than, the people that you pay triple, quadruple the amount of here. So it suddenly felt like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, guys, because I did a bunch of research. I spent thousands of dollars to learn this, and then I made a plan. And now I don't have to work more than an hour a week on my business because everything runs on autopilot. Now, of course, I work more like 4 to 5 hours, but that's because I want to, because my calendar looked like this on the left. And then after I hired my virtual assistants, this is what my calendar on the right looks like now. Now, having a business, guys, is not about working from the beach. It's about having the option to work from the beach. And businesses like Airbnbs give you that option. Again, I have a lovely wife and recently was gifted with the best son. And he's grown up faster than I can even imagine. And I want to spend time with them. And I want to see my son grow older. And I want to see, hit all the cool milestones. And because I don't want to talk to random landlords and guests. Okay. So to solve this problem, we're going to cover my entire strategy on how to build, train, and manage a team of virtual assistants so that most of your business can run without you. Okay. So step number 1, I like to go on sites like onlinejobs.ph, and I put out a listing that you're hiring for an Airbnb customer service rep. All right. So step number 2 is you're going to interview these people that, apply to your listing, and you want to start asking them a series of questions like, how good their English is, first and foremost. I also like to role play in the chat to see how they handle certain situations when a guest is angry and how they respond. Of course, you want to ask about their experience, etc. And again, I have all these, documented guidelines and templates to conduct these interviews, and I give them a score. You want to give them very specific roles and responsibilities so they know exactly what to do. Now, you can't expect them to read your mind because that's, something that I made the mistake of early on. You need to be very direct and set the expectations of what you need from them right from the start. Okay. So you want to create a training guide, have it all laid out, and then they can go back and refer to it if they have any questions. So they're not asking you questions like every 5 minutes. Okay. So the main things that my virtual assistants will need to do is, number 1, they need to respond to guests very quickly, ideally within the first 1 to 3 minutes. They're also going to coordinate with cleaners and handymen on turnover cleanings and also repairs as needed. They also need to know what to do if the guest gets locked out. They have to understand how to do automated messaging, and they also have to qualify guests to make sure that they're going to be a good fit for your property. Okay. Now, hiring and managing a team, it used to be hard, but it really doesn't have to be anymore. Okay. A lot of people think that all they would do all these things themselves, or they want to do all this themselves, rather than going through the hassle of hiring someone and then training them and then managing them. But this is where they're wrong, guys. From my experience, once you have well-documented processes for hiring, interviews, scoring candidates, and having a documented responsibilities and SOPs, your business can literally run smoothly without you. Okay. So let me look in the chat. Okay, we're getting a lot of questions in the chat, of course. Like I said, save your questions until the end because I'm going to be answering all of them there. So please just write them down just so you don't forget them. Write them down and I'll get to them at the end. All right. So if you want to scale your business while working less, then you need to hire a team. All right. But a lot of people think that you need to hire like this 50-person team and then have all this payroll expenses. I literally have 5 people on my team. Okay. It's me, my business partner, 2 virtual assistants, and an assistant. That's literally it. 5 people are managing a multi-million-dollar portfolio, working a few hours a day. So that's how you automate your business and then stop it from turning into another job. All right, let's recap secret number 3, guys. And you guys can take a screenshot here. You want to go on a site like onlinejobs.ph, put out a listing, and then say that you're hiring for a customer service rep. Okay. Step number 2, you want to do the interviews. You want to make sure that you thoroughly vet them. Go through all the things that I mentioned. Make sure they're going to be a good fit. Once you find someone solid, train them well so they don't have to call you every 5 minutes. All right. Also, remember, I mentioned this already, but please save your questions until the end because I'm going to personally answer them. And I'm also going to show you, exactly, what you need to do. Even if you are making money from Airbnbs, like I have something crazy to show you. So make sure you stick around to the end, okay? And this is a good place. Let's get a pulse check. How are you guys feeling? You guys with me? You guys bringing the energy? Let's get some more fire emojis. And I don't know why the fire emojis get me hyped up. So let's see some more fire emojis in the chat if you're still with me. And we're going to keep it rolling, guys, okay? Okay, awesome. Love to see it. All right, let's recap what we learned so far. First, we learned how to find profitable properties. We learned how to negotiate with landlords and to close deals for those properties. Third, we also learned how to automate your business so they don't have to work all day in it, okay? But let me ask you a question, guys. For today's class, I originally planned to share just these 3 secrets for you guys. But is it okay if I over-deliver? There's one more concept that I want to teach you guys that's not a part of the original session. But I want to teach you guys how to set up an Airbnb remotely in today's session. So this is going to answer a lot of questions like, what do I do if my areas, don't allow Airbnbs? Or what if the regulations are tight? What if it's not profitable? Okay. Now, if you learn how to set up an Airbnb remotely, like this is a superpower that a lot of people don't know how to do in an efficient manner. Okay. It doesn't matter what state, country you live in. I promise you, if you learn how to do this, set things up remotely, then you are going to be able to do, wonders with this business. All right. So how many of you want to learn this? Let me know in the chat. Give me a yes if you want to learn this. And if I get enough yeses, then I'm going to share a real example of how I set up one of my properties remotely. Okay. Let's see it. Let's see in the chat. Let's see who's still with me. Let's see. You guys let me know. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. We got the yeses rolling in. All right. Awesome. Let's continue with this new. Let me pull this up here. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Super pumped. Now, again, I made this presentation really quickly as it wasn't part of the original presentation, guys. But I'm going to show you my strategies on how to set up a high-performing Airbnb without stepping out of your house. All right. Now, I'm following these exact strategies to set up my current Airbnb right now. So again, I live in Utah, and a lot of cities here have strict laws around short-term rentals. But once I found out about the potential of Airbnb, there really wasn't a regulation or law that could have stopped me from moving forward. All right. So I researched for hundreds of hours trying to figure out how to set up Airbnbs outside my area. And I found some properties that, were way higher in profit than the ones that I found in Utah. So again, I'm not trying to trash on Utah. Like this goes for like a lot of different places. Okay. Basically, my whole philosophy is I want to go where the numbers make the most sense. All right. I could have easily done, properties here in Utah, but that would mean that I would just scale slower because it would take me longer to find profitable properties. So this is the exact process that I use and I'm currently using on all my properties that I set up. Okay. So all my properties, like I said, were all set up remotely. This one right here that you're seeing is 600 miles away from where I live. This one's in Arizona as well. And this one is on the other side of the country in Florida. That's over 2,000 miles away. Okay. Now, just so you know, even if after setting them up remotely, I'm making around $18,000 a month from all my Airbnbs, $18,000 to $20,000 a month, depending on the month. And to be honest, let's say even $17,500 a month is probably enough for every single family in the US to become financially free, right? So it doesn't matter where you live because I'm going to reveal the exact strategies on how I set up my properties remotely and how you can do the same. And you're going to see for yourself that it's really not as hard as you think. Again, recently I set up a property that's over 500 miles away from me without leaving my house and didn't even see it until it was completely set up. And here are the before and after photos. Because if you build a good team, there's literally no need for you to visit the property in person, okay? And the way I operate my business is by having these 3 key team members, okay? I have my handymans. Excuse me, I'm sick, so I'm all clogged up, but we're going to keep it rolling, okay? Okay, I have my handyman, my movers, and my cleaners. This property that I'm telling you about is in Arizona, all right? So I found it on Zillow for rent. And it was available for $4,100 a month. And then once I shortlisted the property, I gave the landlord my Airbnb pitch, and he said yes, okay? Now, once you understand the whole thing, the lease got signed shortly afterwards. So everything on paper was set up for the property, right? Then it was time for me to order the furniture and make the property look better. Now, a lot of times people overcomplicate this part. The key here is to get the right decor and furniture that's durable but doesn't break the bank. Okay. So I prepare furniture lists based on various themes so that every time that I furnish an Airbnb, I don't have to start all over from scratch. So here's one of the examples. This is one of my furniture lists, and this theme is modern cabin retreat. And my interior designers actually helped me create this list. All right. So this is, a paid professional that helped me create this. So for each room, I've created a list of items I need to purchase. And as you can see in the bottom of the sheet, these are the sections for each room, the bedroom, bathroom, game room, kitchen, and so on. So with the help of these detailed lists, I'm able to make my Airbnbs beautiful every single time. All right. And at this point, I don't even have to think about it. I just order what I see on the list, and anybody, like literally anybody can do this, right? It's not rocket science. And then based on the list, guys, I keep ordering the items. Now, the biggest thing that I've noticed is that tracking these dozens and dozens of items that you order can be a bit confusing. So to make it easier, I track them all in this sheet right here that you're seeing. Okay. I made different sections inside the sheet for every single room. So here I can, check off to see if it's been delivered, if it's still, added to cart, or if it's pending. All right. And this makes it super easy for you to able to track so you're not losing anything, okay? Because you're spending your hard-earned money to get all this furniture. So you want to make sure that you're tracking these and have the right inventory in place. All right. Now, because with it being in the sheet, I don't have to remember, okay, like did the couch get delivered or did the end tables get delivered? I don't have to remember any of that. I just plug them into the sheet and then I can see right here and I check them off as they come in. All right. Plus, it's convenient to track all the furniture in this sheet because it also tracks the budget. So that way, because you can load all these all this furniture in before you even purchase it, just to make sure that you're staying within budget. All right. I see a lot of people, try to do this where they, try to order a bunch of furniture and they end up going way over budget. With this, you're able to, make sure that it's all plugged in, all your numbers are dialed in, and also you're able to track all the the furniture that's coming in. Okay. And again, I know a lot of people are asking. In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can get access to the sheet as well. So after ordering all the right furniture for the property, I need someone to move all of it inside the property, right? So I paid a handyman and movers to, my handyman, I paid $200 to do, stuff like hanging all the paintings and, the things like that, the knickknacks, installing, a few of my, security locks and stuff like that. Then I paid a team of movers $400 to unbox everything and assemble all the furniture. Okay. And lastly, I paid my cleaners $200 to go verify all the work and also get the property up and running. And I was able to do all this via my phone. Like literally I had just my phone and FaceTime to do everything from home. All right. So the result, as you can see on the screen here, the whole process took me, a few hours, for like per week to, to get everything up and running. And the process was pretty smooth. Okay. And mind you, I never saw this property until it was actually live because I had my team on the ground. I was doing all the hard work. And I was paying them well, of course, as well, to make sure that it was getting done ready, properly. And as you can see, it's totally possible, even if you're not in the same country or the same state, to be able to set these properties from wherever you are. All right. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of questions about this topic. So make sure you save those until the end, where I'm going to answer all those. But now I want to show you some of the tools that I use to not only secure my property, but it's going to save you so many headaches later down the road. All right. First, I alluded to this, but it is the keyless entry keypad. All right. So having a keyless entry keypad is going to be one of your biggest lifesavers. All right. This is a mandatory item to install. I personally love to use the I think it's called Schlage locks for all my Airbnbs. And what they're going to do is they're going to connect to your Wi-Fi, and you can operate them from wherever you are in the world, really. And the reason I recommend the Schlage encode is because you can set pins for guests remotely on your phone. But to be honest, guys, like the Schlage encode is pretty hard to find these days. So I'm not sure if there's like a shortage. I highly recommend one if you can find it. Other ones I can do are like Kwikset. Yale is another good one. Just make sure that it's Wi-Fi enabled so you can control it remotely. Okay. Okay. Next thing I use is a Ring floodlight camera. Important note here before I move on to this. Don't put cameras inside of the house. Okay. This is the easiest and fastest way, and it's against Airbnb's terms of service, and it can get you permanently banned. All right. So I have this Ring floodlight camera outside my Airbnbs, and I like this for a few reasons, Kim. Because number one, you're able to track all the packages, from my house, so I don't have to actually physically go there. And I can also see the number of people that enter the Airbnb to make sure that it's matching the number of people on the reservation. Okay. Number three, peace of mind. Because I'm able to monitor my property at all times with my Ring camera, it's a huge lifesaver. All right. And the last thing, make sure that you have your handyman install it in an area where the most traffic comes, right? Think about your front door, your driveway. You can also install multiple if you have a bigger house. Okay. I'm going to show you what it looks like on my side. I wasn't going to plan on doing this, but let me just show you what it looks like on my phone. So here are the properties that I have. Can you guys see this? So once you guys start adding a bunch of properties, you can see that, you can basically have a holistic view of everything at once. Huge lifesaver. I promise you guys, it's well worth the investment. Make sure you go and cop one of these if you're going to start, doing Airbnbs. Yeah. All right, guys, let's get going. So again, there's a lot I just threw at you. So let's recap everything. Okay. The 3 secrets, secret number 1, secret number 2, secret number 3. Again, you guys can take a screenshot of this. We already kind of went over in depth just to make sure that you know these 3 secrets. Okay. Now, the best thing about this whole business model is that you can find profitable properties. You can do the outreach. I showed you how you can build a team, set up the property, and then list it and then manage it. All right. Without having to spend hours, hundreds of hours, even dozens of hours, trying to, do this and basically create a second job, because the last thing that I wanted to do was create a second job for myself. So I promise you, with everything that I just showed you is the exact way that I run my business, where I only have to spend about an hour a week with my entire, portfolio of properties. Okay. So every single step is pretty straightforward here. But the thing is, guys, now that I've gone through, the 3 secrets and also the, bonus module where I show you how to, set up properties completely remote, more than 95% of people out there, a lot of which are already hosting and have properties on Airbnb. Okay. Because a lot of the people don't even know about most of this stuff. So again, tell me, guys, if you followed everything that I just covered today and, you repeated all the steps that I just showed you, would you be able to run a profitable Airbnb business? Let me know in the chat, guys. Let me know in the chat if, are you more confident than when you first joined this live class? Let me know in the chat if you think you are confident to run an Airbnb business. Love it. Got a lot of yeses coming in. Of course, the answer is yes, right? Because there's so many things that I went over, because these are the exact steps that I took to make an Airbnb business, making me over $17,500 per month, guys. Now, here's the thing. Now, some of you guys are probably thinking, okay, $17,500 a month is $210,000 a year. That's a lot, Preston. I don't know if I can do this, man. I don't know if I can be successful in this business. I've never done a business before, because if you think about it, it's almost $250,000. That's a lot of money, right? So let's bring this down a notch. Let's say you repeat everything that I just told you, all the steps that, you're following it to a T, and you're making $17,500 a month with the business. Do you think you can make at least half of that? Right. So let's call it, $9,000 a month. Guys, that's still a 9-figure, or that's still a 6-figure business, making half of what I'm making right now. Okay. And how would that change your life? Seriously, would you finally be able to, quit your job? Would you be able to go, travel, spend time with your loved ones, right? Because that's life-changing money. Okay. But I understand this is a lot of people's first businesses. So not even a 6-figure business. All right. Let's say that, you're kind of doubting yourself. You're saying stuff like, Preston, you've been in real estate for a long time. I'm just starting. Okay. Let's slow it down a little bit. Let's say you mess up a step or two, because that's really the reality. If you're venturing into a new business or anything new, you're going to make mistakes along the way. Right. So let's say you screw up a little bit, but with this proven and repeatable process, let's not even talk about $9,000 a month. Okay. Do you think with this proven and repeatable process that I just went over, do you think they can make 50% of the 50% of the 50% of the amount? Okay. I know that's a lot of math for you, for those that aren't good at math. That's roughly $2,200 every single month. How would making $2,200 in cash flow every month change your life? Okay. Would you finally be able to buy your dream car with that? Would you be able to go on your dream vacations? or at the very least, wouldn't you finally be able to be one step closer to quitting your job? Okay. Because you can scale this business pretty quickly, like I showed you, right? Because with that being said, guys, after all the discussion in the past, half hour or so, I can feel that a lot of you guys are probably a little bit overwhelmed. But how many of you guys would like to continue in this conversation in the chat and learn more? Okay, let me know in the chat. I'm going to shut up for a second and get a drink. If you want me to continue this conversation, let me know in the chat. Give me a yes. Love it, guys. Guys, seriously, thank you for the energy that you guys are bringing tonight. I'm feeling not so great, under the weather, but you guys, your energy is keeping me going. All right. Okay, well, you guys want me to continue with it? Let me know in the chat. Okay. Also, I want to say this. This process is simple, but it's not easy. Okay. The steps in and of itself, they're not hard to implement. Even a beginner can implement these. All right. Now, the crucial part is knowing what to do and how to do it. These dozens of intricate steps, there's dozens of intricate steps in between each of these steps. Okay. It's like learning to drive a car. All right. Think back to when you were first learning how to drive a car. And, if you're 14 years old or 15 years old, that's stuck on this webinar, maybe eventually you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you're learning in a controlled environment when you're first starting to drive a car, right? There's no traffic, there's no distractions, there's no curveballs, right? But when you first actually hit the road for the first time, do you guys remember? Just think back to it. It was a whole new ball game, right? I mean, I know I was scared to death. Seeing all these different cars. There's someone coming from the back. There's someone coming from the front. There's some stupid guy that cut you off and now is crossing the road. There's hundreds of other things happening all at the same time, right? And you have to process that all at once, which can be super overwhelming. And if you make a mistake, it can be extremely bad, right? But if you have someone there, in the passenger seat to guide you, to help you get through all that, that's what, this, starting any business, this Airbnb business model is, okay? Up until now, you're kind of learning in this controlled environment, right? You don't have any of your money on the line. You don't have any of your time on the line. Now, most of this stuff in theory, but once you're out there on the ground, everything's going to change. And that's just the reality of it, okay? You're going to see that a lot of things, happening that you didn't expect, right? So for example, what would you do if the landlords asked about previous experience with similar projects? Because the reality is no landlord's going to hand over a property to you that's just learning how to do this, right? You need to build up the credibility and also show them that you're the expert. Number two, if you have limited capital when you're starting, then you need to be very careful while furnishing the property, right? Because you can't just buy a bunch of random stuff from Craigslist and call it a day. And you also can't splurge on random items either, okay? And the thing is, you have to choose a certain style for your property, and you also have to stay under budget. If you want to be able to get a property that gets bookings consistently, this step is mandatory, guys. So you have to learn how to do that as well. Then once you start getting bookings, it's inevitable that you're going to occasionally get the negative reviews, okay? Now, negative reviews reduce the number of bookings that you're going to get overall. So you need to learn what you should do in such cases. And these are just 3 scenarios, right? There's way more to this. And learning all this stuff on the job can prove pretty costly. And not only in terms of money, but also in terms of your time, which is arguably more important. Now, nobody wants to waste, have all their offers be, for naught, right? Because they don't want to spend 2 to 3 months to be wasted and go back to zero. And by the way, at that point, if you do this business, you're not only going to waste 2 to 3 months, but you're also going to be down $10,000. So it's not that you don't have the ability to figure it out. The question is, how much money would you have lost by the time you figure it out, right? Because think about it. The way to avoid this is by having someone be on your side and also have someone that's done this before and can show you the path. Because if you can go down the beaten path, which has the element of certainty, how does it even make sense to figure it out on your own and try to get the same results spending 1 or 2 years of your life with no guarantee of success, okay? Because especially when you're already short on time and money, like I said, it's simple, but it's not easy. Now, I taught you guys a lot of things in this live class. Now, of course, it's not going to be possible to cover everything in this webinar alone. So let me ask you a question, guys. I was super pumped, super excited. I was going fast, so I apologize for that. But I want to make sure that we got the core concepts while we're here together tonight. Now, the reality is that a lot of these things that I can share with you guys, there's a limit of things that I can share just because of the sake of time. Okay. So I wanted to put together something special just for you guys to take it to the next level. All right. Now, before I show you all this, I want to ask for your guys' permission. Okay. Is it okay if I share with you guys a special package that I put together for all you guys? And if you're okay with that, let me know in the chat. Give me some, let's see some yeses in the chat if you want me to share with you this package, okay? Love it. Loving the energy. Love it, guys. Yes. Okay. And guys, just so you guys know, this is live. This isn't recorded. December 8th, 6:27 Mountain Standard Time. For all the people in the chat that's doubting if this is live. Okay, cool. I appreciate it because, again, I like to ask for you guys' permission because instead of just assuming that I've earned it, I always want to over-deliver, all right? So this offer that I'm about to share with you guys is going to help you implement all the 3 secrets, including the bonus secret that I shared with you for your Airbnb business, okay? And this is going to be the fastest and the easiest way to succeed with an Airbnb business. But here's the catch. This opportunity, it's only going to be available for the next 50 people because I have multiple businesses I have to run, and this isn't the only project that I'm working on, okay? Now, if I take in more than 50 people, I want to be able to help them as much as I want to. And that really just defeats the whole point of doing something like this, okay? So I want to introduce you guys to the Airbnb Arbitrage Roadmap. Now, I call it a roadmap because this is literally the roadmap that all you have to do is walk down the exact same path that I walked down to triple my cash flow in 7 months, okay? So this program, it's going to contain everything that you need to acquire your first property within the next 84 days. That goes over, finding hot properties, my scripts and templates, my LLC, insurance. I cover all the moving parts of the business where I'm going to literally show you A to Z roadmap to scaling your Airbnb business from $0 to $10,000 and beyond. Okay. So the seed for this program was planted about 2 years ago. And at the time, as time went on, the idea became bigger and bigger, okay? Because the journey of me helping people started when my friends and family started asking me for advice around, real estate and Airbnbs. So again, I decided to personally mentor them. On the screen here, you're seeing my cousin and also my brother, and I helped them start their Airbnb journey. So John, again, he's making $8,500 a month in cash flow from his Airbnbs. And my brother Michael, he's making $4,000 per month from his Airbnb, okay? And after I showed him that this process and how effective it could be and how repeatable this was, I wanted to create a program so that I could help more people take advantage of this business model, okay? And here's some of the results of my students after enrolling in this program. So this is Cynthia. She acquired a property that's going to make her $2,200 a month every single month in cash flow. Here's Alvaro. Again, it took him 7 days to go from starting his Airbnb journey to acquiring a property that's netting him $9,300 a month in profit. Yes, all this $9,300 a month from one property. It's absolutely insane. This is the Rodriguez couple. They secured a property that's doing over $1,800 a month in cash flow. We have Tyler and Jenna. Dustin, I already talked about him. Monique, Francisco, Matthew. There's a whole lot more, guys. Now, what I'm going to show you a sneak peek of what's inside the actual program, okay? All right, so again, this is a comprehensive program that has over 60 video modules that covers everything that you need to know to start an Airbnb business from start to finish, okay? And as you can see here, I'm going to cover all the topics that you need, the business to intro model, insurance, all the setup, research and researching markets. I go through, in-depth video modules. And again, there's over 60 videos here that goes from A to Z, covering all the topics so that you can, even if you're a complete beginner, you can start earning cash flow in your first 12 weeks, okay? Also, I'm going to add a dedicated module on how to add top performing midterm rentals to your portfolio to tackle the recession. So if your location, isn't suitable for short-term rentals or it's slowing down, then you can be sure that you're going to make steady cash flow even throughout the recession, okay? So you're going to get the Airbnb Arbitrage video course, which in and of itself can be a full course in and of itself, but that's not where you're going to have to invest. It's not going to be $3,500, all right? That's not the final price of the program, because that's not the only component of this program either. This is not just a buy it and forget it type of video course. I'm going to tell you why. The biggest worry that people have when they start their business is that, what if I acquire a property that doesn't get any bookings and I don't want to get stuck paying rents? And again, I get these concerns because they're legitimate concerns, right? But in the video arbitrage video course, I've already covered how to find profitable properties and also markets. I'll also show you how to run all the numbers so you can check to see if a property makes sense. But still, I don't like leaving anything to chance. So when you enroll in the program, I also want to do everything from my side to help you start a profitable Airbnb business. All right. So after you've shortlisted properties, which I show you again, everything that you need to know, me and my team are going to offer direct feedback on the properties that you find so that you're not wasting your time and money on getting a property that's not going to make any money later. Okay. So we're going to actually help you analyze the properties if it has potential. We're going to run the numbers for ourselves. We're going to see, and we're going to also offer comments like, amenities, average daily rate, occupancy rates, and so on. So this way, you're almost guaranteed to get a property that's not going to get any bookings. Okay. And again, I have people in my DMs literally offer me thousands of dollars for 30 minutes of my time. And these requests are in my inbox every single day, but I don't do any one-on-one consultations whatsoever because I cannot stress enough how valuable this is. This alone is worth more than the entire cost of the program, guys, because honestly, I can't really put a price on it because when you acquire just one property and that's again on the lower end, having me and my team on your side to evaluate deals for you is priceless, guys. So if you're interested in getting direct feedback from me, then enroll in the Airbnb Arbitrage Roadmap, all right? So when you enroll in this program, you're going to get the video course. You're going to get individual property feedback from me and my team. And again, this video course is going to cover all the principles of the Airbnb Arbitrage business, okay? And this direct feedback is going to ensure that you're not going to make any mistakes while acquiring properties, right? What you need to do now is also have a platform to expand and network and also make more connections and form partnerships. That's something that I get asked a ton. Do you have a community where I can, kind of plug in and, kind of pick on the expertise of these people in the community? Because one of the most valuable things to build wealth and to become the best version of ourselves is that we want to be surrounded by like-minded people with similar goals. Okay. So in my early days, whenever I had time, I would focus on meeting people that were at similar levels, but also ahead of me. So I networked, try to make a bunch of friends, and also all with the intention of finding my tribe or my community, okay? And finding good deals and also learning more secrets of the game. Now, it got to a point, guys, where I invested $25,000 a year in a mastermind a couple of years back. And the goal was to, make friends, business partners, find good deals, and also best tactics to grow my portfolio and cash flow as fast as humanly possible, okay? Now, the biggest thing that I got from the mastermind was to think bigger, because before the mastermind, I was focused on smaller properties. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to scale quicker. After joining the mastermind, guys, and after connecting and learning from several other pros, I was able to go from smaller properties that you see on the left here to a 24-unit facility in a matter of 3 months, okay? So again, this mindset shift, being around, like-minded individuals that are killing it in this game, learning new credit strategies and leverage strategies, finding the right deal. That's the difference, guys. Being able to be surrounded with these people are going to help you grow so much faster, okay? That is the power of having communities and building a network, okay? Now, what if you get access to such a community where you can make lifelong friends, form partnerships, get bigger deals together, which you wouldn't have access to alone? But with the Airbnb Arbitrage community, you are able to, okay? Now, a couple of things that come with this. I'm personally moderating this community, and I've already developed a bunch of great, amazing relationships already, and I interact with students there on a daily basis. Plus, you're going to have a platform where you can ask questions to get answered in real time from me and also other members ASAP. You're also going to get opportunities to learn the best practices and strike private deals. I also do bi-monthly live Zoom calls, right? They're, of course, lots of things happen. They're changing. Things are changing. So we're going to get on these calls to make sure that we're up to date with the best tactics, best strategies to make your business successful. And there's a whole lot more to this, guys. And again, all these are going to be recorded. So we have a huge backlog of recordings that we already have that you can go back and watch. I also bring on my personal CPA, my lawyers, and all these other people on my team to give you different perspectives on how to, limit your tax liabilities and tax strategies and so on. Okay. So it's not just all about Airbnb. It's about the whole ecosystem. And I'm going to bring my whole team on that I bring on every single time we do these. Okay. Now, a lot of people in the chat, I was noticing you guys are, exchanging phone numbers and emails to connect with each other. Okay. So if you're able to do that just in this live chat today, imagine if you had access to over 750 people doing the exact same thing. Again, that's the power of a community. And again, I'm going to, personally conduct the live Zoom calls. I also have, my peer mentor who's going to come on and help teach you the things that he's learning in his business as well. All right. So some of the past topics that were covered, we go over AirDNA demos, all things taxes, my private tax strategies, auditing listings, role playing calls, like literally everything that you need to be successful with Airbnb. Okay. So again, these calls are incredibly valuable, and it's something that a lot of my team members, like I said, are going to come on to join. You're also going to have a coach, like I mentioned, that does peer mentoring, and he conducts these bi-monthly sessions as well. And also, he was a student about 6 months ago, and he's killing it now. He's cash flowing. He's growing his business, and the reason he's going to be conducting these calls as well is because he was in your exact same position not so long ago. So he understands what it's like going from being a complete noob to being successful in this business, and he goes over different topics like how he manages his properties, so he's not constantly in the day-to-day. How he acquired his first properties. He's going to go over best practices, how he approached landlords, all the mistakes that he made, and a whole lot more. Okay. Also, you're going to get inside the Airbnb Association community, and inside this community, guys, you're going to find people who are at a similar level than you, and also a little bit ahead of you. Again, I'm going to personally moderate this whole thing, and all this without having to spend 25 grand of your own money. Instead, you're going to get this to get an Airbnb. To cash flow $2,500 a month in extra cash flow. Okay. So you're getting the Airbnb arbitrage program valued at $3,500. Plus, you're going to get the direct feedback where me and my team are going to shortlist once you shortlist the properties, we're going to evaluate these deals so that you're going to make money every single month with these properties. Okay. We also have my Airbnb Association community that's valued at $2,500. And a few minutes ago, guys, I shared with you guys a story of how I got into a mastermind that cost me $25,000 per year. Okay. So I'm not making these numbers up. This is literally what me and other people are paying to have knowledge and access available to us. So even if I charge a fifth of the average market price, that's a minimum of $5,000 of value. Okay. So with this, you're also going to get the fastest and easiest way to succeed with this Airbnb business, guys. Now, the thing is, it took me 5 years to learn all these things. Okay. And my strategies are way too valuable to give away to someone who's not serious about this. Okay. So there is a significant investment if you want to enroll in this program. So to this date, I've personally invested over $70,000 in courses and coaches to get to where I am. Plus, I spent countless hours testing and perfecting the strategies that I currently follow to make me cash flow of over $20,000 a month with my Airbnb properties. And all this to make it possible for me to become a millionaire by the age of 28. Okay. Even then, it took me 5 years to get here today. Okay. Those 5 years and over $70,000 in money that I spent, it's allowed me to build a portfolio of over $10 million worth of real estate. And it's also helped me and my students generate consistent cash flow from Airbnbs every single month, guys. So the investment, of course, was worth every single penny. And I'm sure you realize how much this should be. This is the exact same roadmap, like I said, that Cynthia used to make $2,200 a month. Dustin is making $3,500 a month in cash flow, $8,500 a month for my cousin John. And this is literally a step-by-step roadmap to making $10,000 a month in cash flow, guys. So initially, I thought about charging upwards of $5,000 for this program. But because, guys, even at that price, you can make all your investment back in just 1 or 2 months of profit, okay? But it might have been out of reach for a lot of the people. So it's also a good deal at $4,000, even at its regular price of the program, which is what it's at the moment. $4,000 is what the general public pays, guys. But as you attend this live class, you don't have to pay me $4,000 to join this program. You can join for a special price of $2,500, okay? Now, at the start of the class, I said that if you follow my strategies, you can make $2,500 a month just from a single Airbnb, okay? And with this program, you'll be able to do it on a consistent basis. So tell me, would you pay $2,500 once to make $2,500 per property every single month on the lower end, okay? Now, if somebody made me this offer back in the day when I started 5 years ago, I would take this offer every single time, because if I'm able to have a roadmap to significantly reduce the time that it took for me to get to where I'm at today, then of course I'm gonna pay the money to be able to fast track my growth. Okay. So if you want to enroll in this program, you can go to airbnbroadmap.com from your browser. You can also click on the link in the chat. If you have any questions, guys, you can DM me on Instagram at the Legacy Investing Show that you see on the screen here, and I'll get back to you. And if you don't have Instagram, you can also email me, Preston at legacyinvestingshow.com. I'm going to have Devesh put that in the chat as well, okay? Now, by the way, that's not it. I haven't mentioned the bonuses yet. And I'm telling you guys, after I'm done with the bonuses, I think every single person that is attending this live class is going to feel like this is a no-brainer because that's how I want you guys to feel. Okay. So without wasting any more time, let's get into the good stuff. So to solve the problem with bonus number one, because a lot of the times, people are, wasting dozens of hours reaching out to, landlords without having an efficient process in place. Okay. So I created a system, a guide, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, all I have to do is give this tool to your VA, and they're going to handle all the outreach, the cold calling, gauging the interest, and also filtering all the leads for you. And then they're going to present to you the landlords that are ready to close a deal with you. Okay. So it took me several months of hard work in order to create this plug and play system. It's called the outbound lead gen system, guys. Now, this system is so dialed in that you can literally give this to your VAs, go to sleep, and then within a few hours, they're going to return you with a few qualified leads on a platter for you. And again, systems and strategies like this have enabled my brother to hit 4,000 profit months without having to work all day on this. And you're also going to be able to do this with the same bonus. And by the way, guys, do you guys remember when I told you the story about how one of my students beat out 400 other people to get a deal? Because they use this script, which I follow, that I taught you guys in secret number 2. Okay. So with this outbound lead gen system, you're going to be able to use these exact skill scripts that me and my students are using to close deals. All right. Now, this isn't just some script to have a conversation with the landlord. This is a script that's going to help you close deals and more deals, making you more money. So let's recap real quick. You're going to get the arbitrage program valued at $3,500. You're going to get my individual property feedback. You're also going to get access to the Airbnb Association community. Plus, you're going to get the bonus of my outbound lead gen system, which alone I could sell for $2,000 and it could be a steal. But again, you're going to get all this for a special price of $2,500 if you join today. Okay. Now, with the help of the individual property feedback, you're also going to avoid acquiring properties with low profit potential. Okay. But at the same time, I want to show you everything that I know about finding and analyzing profitable properties. And that's what this second bonus is all about. It's the Airbnb profit projection framework. Okay. So this framework, it's going to help you analyze if a property is going to be profitable or not. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to run all the numbers for any of the properties that the properties that you find. And along with this, I'm also going to show you my process for conducting market research, auditing properties as well. And here are some of the things that you're going to find out. I'm going to show you how to stay away from saturated markets and find ones with lower competition instead. Now, the competition on Airbnb has been increasing as of late, right? But this strategy, guys, is going to help you find markets with low competition every single time. I'm also going to go over the 8 factors that I look at to conduct super quick market research. And also, I'm going to market research. And I'm also going to show you how to do market research without eating up all your time. Because once you deep dive into all these existing markets, at first, I only look at these 8 factors to conduct high level research to see if a particular market is worth investigating further. All right. So the process saves days that I would otherwise, wasted researching unprofitable markets. Now, number 3, I also give you a walkthrough of using AirDNA to conduct market research. All right. Now, what's up, Rob? Joined a little early.
Sorry, guys.
All good, man. That's a sneak peek. Rob's going to join us here in a few minutes to kind of go over his process. But make sure you stick around to that because he's got a bunch of gold nuggets he's going to share. So anyway, I'm also going to walk you through how I use AirDNA to conduct market research, guys. And also knowing the names of the tools is one thing, but also it's another thing to learn how to correctly use the tons of options that are out there. Okay. So once you know how to use all these softwares and tools, it's going to help you avoid confusion. And also you're going to be able to use AirDNA almost on a daily basis. Okay. Also, I'm going to show you how to find flaws of any property in less than 15 minutes. I'm also going to show you how to find out the legitimate flaws that you can approve of any property and also be able to maximize cash flow for each property. Okay. I also show you how to use historical ADR data to make maximum profit from Airbnbs. And I'm also going to show you how to charge more for your properties without increasing the number of amenities on your property that you have. And this is going to add thousands of dollars to your bottom line every single year. So to recap, I know that's a lot. You're going to get everything that we just previously discussed. Plus, you're going to get the Airbnb profit projection framework, and all this for a single payment of $2,500. And you're going to get lifetime access for this. Okay. So again, I've covered all this earlier, but this is some of the things, or this is what some of my Airbnbs look like. Okay. Now the question is, how am I able to take properties from trash to beautiful so consistently? Okay. But it's because I'm a systems guy. I made a system for even how my properties look beautiful consistently. All right. Now, the number one thing that makes a place look beautiful is the furniture, because nobody's going to pay if your Airbnbs look like this. You need to make it so that it looks clean, aesthetically pleasing, and a place where someone actually wants to stay at. All right. So in this bonus, I'm going to give you my furniture list on how to make your property Airbnb ready. That covers everything about furnishing your property and also includes the logistics of it as well. So this furniture list that I showed you a few minutes ago, I have 2 more lists just like this that are as detailed as this one. And they also have different themes as well. So having these lists is literally the equivalent of having your interior designer on your team, because I've literally spent over $20,000 on actual interior designers to help create these lists for me. So if you're like me and have no sense of style of furniture or interior design, then having these top performing furniture lists are come in handy, just so that you just order everything on the list, depending on if it's the bedroom, the entryway, or the bathroom. And just like that, it's going to be done. Plus, I'm also including my furniture budget and tracking template. And the tricky thing about furniture is that it's pretty easy to go over budget. Okay. So this template is going to come in handy, where you're going to have to go and plug in all the furniture, and also just see before you even purchase all the furniture to see if you're within the budget. Okay. So using this template, guys, I've never gone over budget on any of my projects. So to recap, you're getting the Airbnb Arbitrage Roadmap video course, which is valued at $3,500. We also have my individual property feedback, which is completely priceless. This is something that the students right now are taking the most advantage of and seeing the most amount of value in. Okay, you get the association community, and also all these bonuses that I just mentioned here. Okay, now if you have less than $10,000, then it doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of Airbnb Arbitrage. Okay, there is a workaround. Now I'm talking about co-hosting. You can get started with as little as $1,000 and make a bunch of cash, and then reinvest that profit to start your Airbnb business. Okay, so for those of you that don't know what co-hosting is, it's where you find current investors who own Airbnbs, and you also manage the day-to-day for them, right? And you make this a completely passive investment for them. Now, I have a dedicated bonus to teach you everything that you should know to make money by co-hosting Airbnbs. So I'm going to show you exactly what's inside the co-hosting masterclass. You're going to learn how to start co-hosting. You're going to learn how to structure deals with hosts. You're also going to learn how to convince hosts to work with you and pay you recurring commission. And again, I can sell this bonus as a standalone course, but you're going to get complimentary access to this entire co-hosting masterclass when you get the Airbnb Arbitrage Roadmap. Okay. Plus, alongside the co-hosting masterclass, I've also added a module about house hacking. Now, house hacking, if you don't know, it's when you invest in a property, typically anywhere from 2 to 4 units. You live in one side and then you rent out the rest. And the best part is that you can do this with little to no money and live for free. And this is exactly how I bought my first property and started my journey in real estate. Okay, and it was also the catalyst to help me supercharge my growth. Okay. All right, let's see here. All right, guys. Now, in this co-hosting or in the house hacking one-on-one guide, you're also going to get complimentary access to get along with my co-hosting masterclass. So to recap, I know there's a lot, so let's just go through it. Okay. So you're going to get all these things that I mentioned here, all the bonuses as well. And as I said before, guys, the main reason I quit my $250,000 per year job is that I didn't own my calendar. Okay. I was making good money, but I didn't have control of my time. All right. But now that I run my own Airbnb business, I have complete control of my time. So every single morning, guys, before I start work, my priority is to spend as much time as I can with my wife and son. And once I started working, most of my time is spent in helping my students in my community, because someone, is posting questions every single day that they need answers to. And, someone's close to signing a deal and wants my feedback on the property. And once that's all taken care of, guys, majority of my work is done for the day. Then if I don't have any other tasks for my other businesses, then what I'd love to do is I love to create content on my social medias. I love to, do date nights with my wife. Now, again, if you paid attention, I didn't talk much about my Airbnb business. Okay. And that's because I just need around 30 minutes to an hour per week to manage all my Airbnbs. Once the initial setup is done, and once you have all the systems and processes in place, then your Airbnb business is going to run smoothly pretty much without you. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to do that in bonus number 4. So the Airbnb automation blueprint, and this is a blueprint where, it's going to make sure that you are able to run your business so that doesn't turn into another job. right? Now, the first step to ensure that your business successfully runs without you is to build a solid team in place. So a part of the blueprint that you're going to get my VA screening guide. Once you start to scale, your VA is going to be doing, most of the work for you, right? But if you hire the wrong one, managing that person is going to become a full-time job. So it's important that you find someone and you hire someone so you don't make the same mistakes. And this guy is going to help you avoid making that mistake. Also, you're going to get my cleaner recruitment guide, guys. You might not know this, but the cleaner is the most important member of your team. And if you don't choose a reliable one, then it's going to be a constant headache for you guys. And I promise you, it's literally impossible for you guys to run your business smoothly without a good cleaner. So it's important that you recruit the correct one from the start. So you're going to get complimentary access to my cleaner guide, which is going to help you choose the best cleaners. And I also have a similar guide for finding a reliable handyman as well, because that's obviously another key member of the team. I'm also going to reveal all the tools and all the software that I'm using to automate my business, guys. And these tools are going to help you run your Airbnb business without stepping outside of your house. Like, I've never had to go and actually physically set up my properties. And also, I'm going to give you an example. When I first started my Airbnb journey, guys, I had this burning question in my mind. Okay. And it was, how much do affectings affect revenue for Airbnbs? So I decided to do some research, and here's what I found. So if we consider two similar properties in similar locations, one, let's say, is on the first page and the second one's on the third page. Property A on the first page of search results, assuming that they're similar properties in a similar location, let's say it generates $100,000 in revenue. On the other hand, if the property is on the third page, then that one's going to be stuck at $75,000 in revenue. That means even if you do everything right, but you don't optimize the listing and rankings, then you're going to lose 25% in revenue every year minimum. So how can you actually increase your revenue by over 25%? Here's some ways that I do this, Cam. And you guys can take a screenshot of this. This is how I optimize my search results, Cam. Number one, I respond very quickly to guest messages, ideally within a few minutes, Cam. Number two, I never cancel reservations. This is going to ding you faster than almost anything else. So if you need to cancel reservations, always make sure that you ask on the guest side. Number three, turn on Instant Book. This is going to get you more bookings as the algorithm is going to continue boosting your listing. Number four seems obvious, but a lot of people neglect to do this. You want to make sure that you ask for 5-star reviews in your automated messaging, because of course, if you provide 5-star customer service and you also have a great property to go with it, then you're going to get 5-star reviews, leading to more bookings, leading to more money for you, obviously. Number five, you want to make sure that you convert more leads through optimizing your listing. And a few ways to do this, guys, is you want to make sure that you have your first photo stand out from your competition. So you're going to also want to make sure that you write a captivating description, and then you also want to tell a story as to why they should stay at your place. Because once you automate all these processes and set up all your message automations and templates, then it becomes way smooth to run your business where you don't have to constantly be in the day-to-day of it. So I'm going to give you my exact message templates that I use to communicate with my guests. And with these message templates, guys, you can inform them about the general workings of your Airbnb. And also, it's going to make it super smooth, super easy to be able to automate all this. And without you having to think of what you should say, I have tried and true templates that I use for my own business. Okay, so I know that's a lot that I just threw at you. So let's just recap what we're going to get, okay? All right, so we got the Airbnb Arbitrage Roadmap video course. Number two, I'm giving you my individual property feedback where me and my team are going to review your properties. That's included with this program, okay? We have my Airbnb Association community, my outbound lead gen systems. You're also going to get my furniture list. You're going to get my coaching masterclass, my Airbnb automation blueprint. Again, all this is a total value of over $14,000 that you can get for a one-time payment of $2,500 if you buy today at airbnbroadmap.com. Okay. And again, you can click the link in the chat, or you can also just type in your browser, airbnbroadmap.com. Again, with all these modules, all these bonuses, especially with this perk of the individual property feedback, I promise you, anyone that's still watching here can go from a complete beginner to making $2,500 a month from one Airbnb within the next 12 weeks, guys. Again, with all these resources, there should be no doubt whatsoever why you shouldn't be able to do this on your own once you get everything up and running. So again, if you want to enroll, go to your browser. You can click on the link to complete your enrollment, or you can click the link in the chat. And again, if you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram at The Legacy Investing Show, and I'll get back to you guys. Just be patient with us. We get a lot of DMs and a lot of questions. If you don't have Instagram, you can also email me, Preston@legacyinvestingshow.com. All right. So even if you just acquire 2 Airbnbs, which isn't that hard, by the way, you can make $5,000 a month in cash flow. Okay. That's $60,000 a year in semi-passive income. So if you choose not to do this, it's going to literally cost you $60,000 a year, right? Because you're literally giving up $60,000 a year just like that. And again, I think this is life-changing money for a lot of people out there. So my question is simple. Would you rather pay $2,500 once to not lose $60,000 every year, or even $120,000 per year? Okay. Because especially if you're serious about scaling, because at the end of the day, it's simple math, guys. It's the biggest opportunity and the best opportunity that I see right now. So even if you're on the fence after all this, let me give you some perspective, okay? Because at this point, you have 3 paths that you can possibly take. Path number 1 is you do absolutely nothing. You stay where you're at. You close the browser, you go back to what you're doing. And tomorrow you're going to wake up and, you're going to go to that job that you've, been looking to quit or you hate. Your boss is going to make sure that you give you your best years of your life to grow their company. And you can hold on to this, so-called safe job and, give up on your dream of financial freedom. And again, I know these type of people, right? They every now and then they'll get the urge to start something of their own, but they're going to silence that inner voice saying, nah, it's just too risky. And that's path number 1. And nothing's going to change if you go down this path. And a lot of the people that have gone down this path have already left. So, really ask yourself, why are you here, right? You could be doing countless other things at this moment. Why are you attending this session right now? Because we've been going at it for a while now. And the people that aren't serious or weren't serious about this, they're already, they already left, right? They're already on path number 1, but you're still here because you know better, because you want something to change in your life. Okay. So let's cut the crap. Let's get real for a second. Even you both know that still watching this, that can hear my voice, you're not going to go down path number 1. So your next option is path number 2. Okay. Now, path number 2, guys, is where you can take what I said today. You can go and try to figure out this business on your own. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is a little bit better than path number 1. And it's a little bit better. And here's why I say that. This is the path of most resistance. Okay. This is where most people get demotivated. They get all hyped at the beginning, at the start, right? And then the reality sinks in. They don't know what to do next. If you could have figured it out by yourself, you probably already have done it, right? And sure, you didn't know about the secrets that I revealed today. You didn't have all this information. But here's the thing. Chances are you're probably going to get stuck somewhere. For example, a landlord might ask you about your previous business experience. About similar projects? What are you going to say to that? What would you do if the guests start posting negative reviews about your listing? Then there's also the budget allocation part. There's so many people that I've talked to that they say hey, I've gone way over budget on my property. What do I do now? There's a lot of these different issues that come up. People quitting their jobs and then never succeeding with any business. Okay, because number 1, they go and try all these different business models. And then one day they just get demotivated. They say entrepreneurship is a scam, nothing works, and they eventually quit. So if you want to go and do that to yourself, kudos to you for not taking path number 1, because path number 1 is the absolute worst path that you can take. But I also want to let you know, guys, that it's not going to be easy going down path number 2. And that brings us to the last option, Cam, which is path number 3. So as we've seen, path number 2 is just slightly better than path number 1, because I'm telling you right now, you're not going to want to go down that path either, because it's really just going to take forever. For all you know, 3 years from now, you could be at the same place where you are right now. Really think about it, right? It's not about if you have the ability to figure it out, because the mere fact that you're watching till this point, guys, makes you more qualified than the most people out there. Okay. The problem isn't the ability. The problem is time and money, because we don't have infinite time or money, right? So let's be real here for a second. If it is possible, don't you want to figure this out as quickly as possible? Because again, if you do, then I suggest you go down path number 3, because this is the fastest and the easiest way to succeed with an Airbnb business. Okay. So path number 3, click on airbnbroadmap.com. This is where you're going to get unlimited support from me and my team before, until you acquire your first property of $2,500 a month as fast as possible. Okay. So those are your options. I wanted to lay it out as clear and concise as possible. So just make sure that you choose the right one, guys. So with that said, I'm going to bring on Rob. Actually, before we do that, here's an important thing that I want to mention, Kim. So inside the program, I revealed all the processes, templates, systems, and scripts that I personally use for my own business. And in a way, you're seeing the inner workings and you're taking a peek behind the curtain of my business, okay? So as a result, all sales are final. So if you're not serious about this, then don't join the program, okay? But if you are and you're ready to make a killing from this, unlike most gurus, guys, this isn't my main source of income. Like I literally do this because I enjoy doing this, and I have several other businesses that I have to run. So I value my time, very, very heavily. So I don't care if the no money back guarantee is like a deal breaker for you, because if you don't join this program, my life, isn't going to change one bit, honestly. So if you're someone who needs a guarantee before you want to start a business, then you're probably not the type of person that I want to work with in the first place, okay? And by the way, guys, we already have 10 spots that have already gone. So we have 40 spots left. Because again, I only want to work with the people that are serious about taking control of their financial future. So if you want to go grab one of the few spots, we have 40 left. We already have 10 people that have already taken advantage of it. Okay. Because at the end of the day, I want to work with people that are serious about starting a business to replace their income from the 9 to 5. All right. I don't want to work with people that have one eye on the exit door and they before they even start. So I only want to work with the serious people, just to make that clear. And also, before we move forward, guys, I just want to make this clear. When you sign up for Airbnb Arbitrage Roadmap and follow all the strategies, you might increase your tax burden. Okay, that just comes with the nature of increasing your income. So we're not liable for any of the taxes you're going to make, but you're going to make a whole lot more money. So at the end of the day, you might be paying more in taxes, but you're going to make a whole lot more money. All right. All right, guys. So let's bring Rob in here. And again, Rob is one of my top students who's just absolutely slaying it. And so, Rob, can you hear me, sir?
I can. What's going on, people? How's everybody doing?
What's going on, dude?
How are you?
I'm doing good. How was class? I know you just got back from class.
It was good. Wrapping up. Yeah. That was like the last main class of my MBA, and that was actually pretty easy. So done with that, and just kind of cruising. And we'll be wrapped up here in the next few months. So it's nice. And then I can focus on this, almost completely. So that's what's up.
Love it, man. Well, appreciate your time. I know you're busy, so let's make this quick. So if you don't mind, just introducing yourself, your name, a little brief background. I know you mentioned you're doing your MBA, but anything else that the people should know should be super helpful.
Yeah. So what's up, guys? Just big props to everybody that's on this right now. Like, this is a huge first step and really changing your life. And I mean that, I said it in the chat, but I legitimately believe in this program because it's working for me. And anybody else that really stays committed and stays serious with this, it'll do the same for you. You just got to stick with it and believe in it. So yeah, my name is Rob Stagg. I joined the program probably back in July. Crushed all the modules, and got through the course pretty quickly. But then actually didn't, had to take some time with class and some other things to focus on that, and didn't really start starting making the calls until October. I have a full-time job. I have 2 small kids, a wife and family I'm taking care of as well. But yeah, my normal 9 to 5 is I'm a marketing director for a financial company. And but in my world, I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I've been following Preston for a while on social media, and I was like, this sounds intriguing, right? Like most of you, I'm sure, you invest and you save, but it's like, okay, is this generating cash flow for any of us? What can we do here? And the arbitrage thing just made sense. I wanted to get into real estate, and it seemed like a pretty, easy, I guess, easier, more straightforward way to get into it. So,
yeah, thanks for the background, dude. So your situation, you kind of went through, some of the goals that you had, right? So, let's kind of talk about, because you're like one of the people that every single day at a certain point, you're like, hey, what do you think about this property? What do you think about this property? And
I know, I try to keep you busy.
So mind you guys, these are properties, it's not just properties found on Zillow. These are properties that, you had conversation with the landlord. They, said they were interested. So what are some of the, results that you've achieved where, what are you projecting in cash flow in the next, let's call it 4 to 12 weeks?
Yeah. So guys, I've probably called, at this point, upwards of 50 landlords, and outright, I've only had 2 of them say no to the model. And that's, to me, is indicative of this thing delivers a lot of value to the people you're actually talking to about it. This isn't just, hey, we're trying to rent your place out. It's there, as you get into the course, you'll understand why this actually makes a ton of sense for both you and the person you're talking to. So I've only had a couple say no. I'm actually at this point having turned down more because after I run the numbers, I'm like, I'm going to look at something else, pursue a different opportunity. So I was looking in Florida for a while, places I want to go on vacation. And, I decided to actually bounce back up to where I live. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. And, we've got a lot going for it as far as tourism is concerned. And I called a house here that I saw on Zillow, thought was interesting. It was done really nicely, and it's in a great location. Pitched the model to them. And they had actually had it on Airbnb and had wanted to pull it off because they moved out of state. and wanted somebody else to kind of take it over. And the fact that I was local really sold it for them, because it's like, hey, you're here, you can keep tabs on it while we're not in town. This is great for us. And after running the numbers and having, working with Preston to make sure that, my math was correct on it and the calculators were all good, projection is somewhere between, 4,000 on the low end and 8,000 on the high end. We obviously have Derby here in May, and that month should probably be anywhere between 12 and 15K on its own, which is insane when you think about it. So when we say this program is life changing and one property can actually make a substantial difference, this is 100% evidence of that. I mean, this is real money we're talking about. And in terms of cash flow, this is after expenses are deducted. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
After I like went through that property, I was like, dude, like, like you have to lock this down like right now. Yeah. Like, stop talking to me. Go talk to the landlord. All right. So yeah, I mean, how did like the program, because like obviously everyone has like their own individual journey, right? So how did the program like help you kind of get over some of the fears that you might have had, or some of like the the roadblocks that you might have faced?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I've got experience, running. Both my wife and I have side hustles. I have an LLC that I've set up before for something else. So having like the reaffirmation of like the business stuff, it's like, okay, this is how we're going to do it in this arena of, but this hospitality / real estate component. And, so the program gave me the knowledge and the understanding of this is how you research a market. I mean, guys, that's huge. It's you can want to Airbnb a house down the street, but that's not going to necessarily get you the money you need. So it's how do you find a market? That's one. How do you find a property that's actually going to generate serious revenue and be worth your time and your investment in it? And then how do you pitch? What is the value proposition that you're offering a landlord when you pick up the phone and call them? And once you have an understanding of this is what I need to look for, and this is how I need to talk about it, that gave me the confidence to start going after it. And I got that from this course. And Preston has been a huge help in all of that.
Love it, man. So I know, like, obviously, like every business, right? There's always going to be some struggles. Okay. So like, what are some problems that you faced, and like, how would you overcome them? Like, whether that's like through the community, some of the modules, like, what are some of those things that you faced?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the one thing you can fall into, and I know this happens to me every now and then, is the paralysis by analysis trap, right? Like, you spend a lot of time researching a property, and then it's a question of, okay, well, what do the comps look like? Is this the right market? Is this something I want to get into? Is the investment worth the payoff? But that's where the community really comes in. And and both Preston as well as Dustin, who's another person in the group, started around the same time I did. These guys, when they say, hey, we'll help you figure this out and help you determine what makes sense. I mean, if I call a landlord and I go look at the property, or if it's remote, it's a different story. But I've had a handful I've looked at and then run the numbers on. These guys have helped me basically corroborate that and make sure, okay, this is either going to be worth the time, or hey, it's all right, but there might be a better option out there. So that way I don't get stuck, wasting time on something that isn't ultimately going to pan out the way I would want it to.
Love it, man. So, I mean, let's talk big picture now. Like you have this property that's going to be an absolute cash cow. So what's kind of like your cash flow goal by the end of, next year?
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately I'd like to get somewhere around, between 20 and 30K, which to me, if I can find, 3, 4 more really honestly 2 or 3 more properties like the one I've got, that's entirely doable. And if you can make sure that your margins are working in your favor, you can get the one going, use the cash flow from that to start up the other one, then start bringing them both up, get the third, get the fourth. And then that's a great spot to be in. And that's what I'm aiming towards by the end of 23.
Love it, man. And no doubt, like you're giving me properties to review, like, every week. So you're going to be there in no time, man. So appreciate the time. Last thing. So what would you say to someone who's just, kind of considering or just kind of toying with the idea of starting their Airbnb journey?
There's no time like right now to do it, guys. Sure, with inflation going on and the market, I mean, that's what I live in and day out, in the finance world. But like, it's tough, and you might as well take control over your own financial destiny. And I would highly encourage you to get into this because people like me, like I've wanted to get into real estate for a long time, whether that's buying properties, owning it. But you got to have a decent amount of cash to set that up. But you get one, you might be tied up in that if you're just looking for like a long-term rental, as Preston can attest, because, I know you've got some properties. I've got some friends that are doing the same thing. But, once the Airbnb deal, guys, this is like in terms of cash flow, you're not going to find, you're going to be very hard pressed to find a better opportunity out there to get the returns on the cash you're investing than this. And so for anybody that's thinking about doing this, I would highly encourage you to just do it. Like I highly recommend this course because I know personally, I've learned so much from it. It's not just me. There are plenty of people in the community that have legitimately changed their lives doing this thing. But, you know, Preston's not going to do the work for you. You got to put in the work. He gives you the knowledge, he gives you the information, he'll give you the support, but you have to do the work. And that's why to me it's so worth it, because what you get in, you truly get out. Or what you put in, you get out.
Love it, man. Dude, appreciate the time. I know you have a wife and kids to get to after a long day of class. So thank you for hopping on, sharing your knowledge. Excited to, continue working with you and seeing your success, man. So again,
Likewise.
Appreciate you hopping on.
Anytime, man. Appreciate it.
Okay. See you. All right, guys. Hopefully that was helpful. Rob, he is one of the top guys. Like, you can see how sharp he is and how he's just killing it right now. So, all right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do some Q&A. Answer your most questions. This is the moment you guys have been waiting for. But again, guys, you don't have to wait for me to do this, the Q&A. If you guys are ready, click on the link in the chat, airbnbroadmap.com, to sign up for the program. Again, we're only taking 50 people because I don't want to, I want to make sure that I focus my attention and time on the next 50 people so we can help them get up and running. We already have, most of the, we already have I think we have over 15 spots gone. So if you want to join, you don't have to wait for me to do Q&A. But for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to do Q&A, answer your questions, and then we'll go from there, okay? All right, guys. So let's get into these questions, okay? All right. Can I speak to my partner? Can I sign up tomorrow? Now, again, I understand why you want to discuss with your partner, but like I said, I'm only taking 50 students. So if you want me to hold your spot, you can just DM me the word partner on Instagram, and I'll hold your spot for the next 24 hours, okay? And again, if you don't have Instagram, you can also email me, Preston@legacyinvestingshow.com. After 24 hours, I'm going to have to give your spot to someone else if you don't complete the enrollment. So again, if that's what you want to do, you can, but let's go to the next question. I don't have much money. How can I get into the market? So with the modules, that's why I included the co-hosting module, because you don't need a huge investment to get started with that, okay? That's the exact reason why I included that co-hosting masterclass, just kind of for all my people in like different situations. I know everyone's in a different kind of money situation. So I do have that module where you can follow. It's basically like an entire video course in and of itself. But I'm including that with the Airbnb arbitrage roadmap. If you want to go that route, okay. The recession is here. How can one make money in today's market? Okay. So during the start of the presentation, you saw the numbers, right? You saw the facts. Well, there are people that are worried about the recession. But here's a definite way that you're not going to make money regardless of a recession, okay? And that's not having a business. Because if you don't have, so let's say your business, or your company decides to let you go, where does that leave you, right? Seriously ask yourself that question. A lot of people think, that their corporate job is, safe because, they can, kind of depend on it. But during a recession, guys, payroll is the most expensive cost to, every business. And so they're going to start cutting, people, and that's going to leave you, with no cash flow coming in if you don't have these income sources, lined up. So that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to start side hustles, because I kind of had that foresight of, people being cut, let go, and then their income being completely shut off. Okay. So if you're thinking about saving your money, guys, also by keeping the money like in the bank, then you have to do the math, right? Because it's literally impossible to save your money by keeping it in the bank if we have double-digit inflation out there, okay? And the way that you beat inflation is by having cash flow. And like, Rob mentioned, Airbnb arbitrage is the best way to achieve that right now. And with the content inside the Airbnb arbitrage roadmap, you're going to be able to get cash flow producing properties. Like Rob said, he's going to be cash flowing $4,000 on the low end to $8,000 on the high end on his one property every single month. So it's not hyperbole when I say that you can change your life with one property, guys. I promise that one property can be life-changing. Okay, I also get asked, will this work for me? Now, again, I said it during the start of the webinar. I'm going to say it again. It doesn't matter if you have a corporate job, if you're a local business owner, an entrepreneur, retired. It doesn't matter, guys. If you are able to dedicate at least 2 hours per day working on this business to start, then you don't need any previous business experience. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. Again, this is the best and most beginner-friendly model that I see right now, including best cash flow model. So, and again, I designed the content. I factored a lot of beginners were going to be, coming into the program. And that's exactly why I've included everything that you'll need. The comprehensive video course, a like-minded community, automating your business, furniture list, templates, everything, the whole 9 yards that you need to get everything that you need to be successful to get a cash flowing property up and running. Okay. And again, the regular price for the program, everyone else is going to pay $4,000. But if you apply today, you're going to get the program for $2,500, which again is because you spent time with me for the last, couple hours. I want to reward you for, being serious about taking control of your financial future. That's why I'm giving you the special price if you join today. Okay. Hey, what if I already have an Airbnb unit? So we have several people in the association community that already had several properties before joining. Okay. And that means if you don't want to, you don't have to scale your business. A lot of the people join because they want to learn how to, automate the business better. Also how to, increase the revenue on the properties they already have. And, again, there's someone you can think of pretty much any scenario, any type of person, and they're probably already in the program. Okay. And so I made this program and the community where, so many people from different backgrounds can help each other, grow and learn. And that's what the community is all about. And it's like, seriously, one of my favorite parts of the day is jumping into the community, answering questions, and also just kind of learning from the other people too. Like there's so many great insights, so many great perspectives that people share. And, that's something that I love about the community. Okay. Okay. Next question that I get a ton is, why would the landlord allow me as a middleman instead of doing Airbnb arbitrage himself or Airbnb himself? So here's the thing. When the landlord leases you the property, they're benefiting from the deal as well, right? Because they're receiving the rent on time, which is a big thing for them. We're also maintaining the property in a way that's not possible for them, right? Because they can't bring in cleaners into their long-term tenants' houses like two to three times a week to make sure that everything's spotless, right? That's where we come in. Okay, that's where we come in. These guests, they're really, usually out exploring the city wherever they're at. So there's going to be way less wear and tear on their property. And more importantly, they just don't have enough time to handle everything that we do. Because as you saw today, even if you own an Airbnb unit, you're also going to need to take care of, all the things like furnishing, listing the property, managing guests, maintaining the property, and so on. And again, a lot of this stuff requires time and a lot of attention. And if you don't have these processes and systems in place, then it's going to eat up all your time. So that's why I emphasize from the start of how important it is to have these virtual assistants and have all these processes and systems implemented so that you can, do all this without only, spending 8 to 10 hours a day. It goes from that to spending just 1 to 2 hours a week max per property. Okay. And all the bonuses that you see on the screen here, I include all those just for that exact reason, because I didn't want to spend, hours and hours in this business. And so that's why I include everything that I use in my own business, where I'm only literally spending 30 minutes a week on my portfolio of 5 properties. Okay. All right, guys. So now let's answer some questions. But again, we only have a few spots left. I'm only taking 50 spots. So if you want to join, just go to the link in the comments or in the chat, airbnbroadmap.com to sign up for the special price of $2,500. Again, $2,500 to make $2,500 a month every single month in cash flow. Like, it's really a no-brainer. And I try to set it up where it's a no-brainer for you guys as well. All right. All right, Devesh, let's see what questions we got. Let's start answering these questions. Okay, Thomas, do you need a credit history to do this? I just graduated college. So the great thing is you don't need a credit history because we're signing up with your business, right? So the business is going to be the one on the lease. And a lot of the times, because the business is the one actually signing the lease, these landlords don't even ask for your credit. Okay. Now, obviously, if you want to ease the people's minds, then of course you can, go ahead and, pull you can basically co-sign as yourself, but it's not necessary. And, there's plenty of landlords out there that'll rent to your business as long as you execute the pitch well. So good question, Thomas. What are the questions that we got here? I know we got a lot, so let's get to them. Laho, who received all your furniture while you're away? I know you had a mover and handyman, but you received it all in different timings. So how did you handle that? This is a great question. So a couple ways that we did this. When we first started, we had a handyman that was there, kind of frequently. We paid him, or we had my cleaners go there to the property to move the packages inside. So we had to pay them a little bit more to kind of handle all that. And then every single night we would have inventory. They would, open the boxes, show us what was there. And then in my spreadsheet that I showed you, we would just go through, check off the boxes of what was arriving. But now we have project managers that, we hire out. Of course, this is a more expensive option. It's just easier for our peace of mind to have that. But when we're first starting out with limited budget, we just hired our cleaners to, handle that. But you can have a designated person. It doesn't have to be your cleaner. It can be your handyman. It could be a neighbor. And again, I go through all that on how to kind of coordinate all that in the video or in the course. So good question though. What other questions do we got here, guys? And again, thank you guys for, staying until the end here. Guys, I hope you guys got a ton of value. I'm going to answer and try to provide as much value by answering a lot of your questions here as well. Javier, I'm a homeowner and was thinking of using the equity in my home to get started. Is that a good idea? Absolutely. So a couple ways you can do this, okay? So, one of my favorite ways is using HELOCs, home equity line of credit, to access your equity. So because right now rates are really high, with mortgages, and I'm assuming you have a pretty low mortgage rate. So instead of refinancing or doing a cash out refinance and, pulling in the equity and increasing your payment, I would just get a HELOC. And HELOCs are a great way because HELOCs typically are lower interest rates than a credit card. And so you can, get credit, or you can get HELOCs. They're probably like in the 8 to 9% range right now. But the HELOCs you can use to definitely, scale your Airbnb arbitrage business quickly. And that's what we've done. Like once we, kind of got that first one up and running with our own cash, then we, reinvested the funds that we were getting from the profits from our property. And also, we can leverage HELOCs to, scale even further. So that's a great way to use your home equity to scale. And again, I go over all that in depth in the video course. So good question, Javier. Is Kansas a good place for Airbnb? So, I mean, literally anywhere can be good as long as you find the right markets, you run the numbers. And again, it's not just like the overall market. It's also the individual properties within the market. Okay. And again, I go over all that in depth on how to find profitable properties within these markets. And again, I have properties all over the country, right? I have some in Tennessee. I have in Florida, Arizona. Like we go to markets where, we personally would like to travel to, or where the numbers make sense. Okay. So that's our personal investing philosophy. So you can make this work anywhere, like Kansas. I don't care if you're in Montana, there's always going to be markets pretty much in every state where you can do it and be successful at this. So good question. What else we got? Brandon, how do you hold your spot for 24 hours again? So if you want to hold the spot, just DM me. What was it? What did I say? Sorry, my brain is a little bit foggy. Just DM me Airbnb on Instagram at the Legacy Investing Show, or you can email me Preston@legacyinvestingshow.com if you don't have Instagram, and we can hold your spot. All right, what else do we got here? Let's answer some more questions here. And again, guys, if you guys are ready to sign up, you can go to the link in the chat. Go to airbnbrobot.com if you want to be in one of the first 50 people, because again, we sell out our spots every single time. And so if you want to be one of the first people to get it at the special price of $2,500, then you don't have to wait for this Q&A to end. You can go there. Okay. How do you furnish a house with just $4K? For the picture you showed, you did a whole remodeling job there. That's more expensive. Yeah. So that's why a lot of the times, so the first property that we found, we had a little bit more capital saved up because, I was house hacking. I was saving a bunch of money. So I had, a little bit more money to play with. And so the property that we found was a little bit run down, but we saw the potential in it. And so we paid for some of the rehab, right? And a lot of the times, I don't recommend doing this, honestly, because the rehab should be the landlord's responsibility. But we really like the location. We really like the property, and it's doing it, at the end of the day, looking back, we made a great decision for actually, making it. But that's why I tell you, and I preach to my students to find properties that are ready good to go, right? All you have to do is move in the furniture and get everything up and running. And a budget of $4,000 can easily get you into a property that's, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms at 2,300 square feet. So with the budget, you can totally do this without having to do all the extra rehab like we did for the property that we chose. And that's why I look for properties that are already, kind of turnkey. All you have to do is go in there, add nice furniture, and make sure you add some amenities to, really make your property stand out. So good question, Angie. Okay, Angie, if I buy this, is there going to be something else to buy later? Nope. So I totally get where you're coming from. It's a one-time payment, $2,500. You're going to get lifetime access to everything that you see on the screen here. My video course, you're going to get the individual property feedback, association community. A lot of these like different programs that I've been in, they have like reoccurring like yearly fees, which I don't do. It's just a one-time fee that you get. Again, $2,500 to get $2,500 a month in cash flow every single month from a property. Like it pays itself back from one property in 1 month. So that's the way I structure my program. I want it to be accessible for most people that are serious about taking control, of their financial future, serious about getting into business. Because the other side of this, guys, is like I only want to work with people that are serious about getting into this business. Because I could have charged way less, but then I have to deal with people that aren't as serious, and it's just a headache for everyone involved. So that's why it's at the price. But again, even at the price that it's at, the normal people are going to pay $4,000. All you have to do, if you want to be one of the first 50 people, we have most of the spots gone, guys. Just a heads up. If you want to join, we have a few more spots to join at the special price of $2,500. So good question, Angie. Let's see, what other questions do we got? What else do we got here, guys? I know you guys have a lot of questions, so I want to make sure that we get through all these. Okay, send a DM on Instagram. Business partner convo started. Waiting for a position tomorrow. Please hold. Thank you, Brian Collins. Again, like if you want us to hold your spot, we can definitely hold your spot for 24 hours. If you don't purchase it by that time, then we'll just give your spot to the next person, because we always have a wait list of people that want to get into the program. And I wish I could, just accept everyone, but that's just not the way it works. And it's not fair to the people that are serious about, really taking control of their, Airbnb business. So that's why we limit it to the spots. And again, every single time, we launch these offers, because we don't do these often, they do fill up. So if you are serious and you want to get started, make sure to go to airbnbroadmap.com. You can sign up and get the special price of $2,500. Okay. Does this offer guarantee a $2,500 a month property within 90 days? So again, obviously, like this is a financial advice. Like we can't guarantee anything, right? Because a lot of that depends on, how much work you're willing to put in. If you're going to follow the video course and all the modules. But I can guarantee you that if you do follow everything in, the modules, you're active in the community, every single person that's done that has gotten a property that's cash flowing them, significant thousands of dollars every single month. So again, like I can't financially, legally say that, anything's guaranteed, but if you do follow everything, then the success rate of the students in the program is very, very high. I can tell you that. And also on top of that, like me and my team, like that's why I'm like constantly hiring people to, give as much resources as possible to all the students in the program. And I'm in there a lot too, just like, looking at property, evaluating properties, answering questions in the community. Like we're going to be there and do everything in our power to help you get as much, give you as much assistance to get you a property cash flowing as fast as humanly possible. Okay. And also, again, if you want a payment plan, then DM me payment plan on Instagram, or you can email me, Preston@legacyinvestingshow.com, if you want a payment plan. Okay. So again, if you want a payment plan for the program, you can DM me payment plan on Instagram, or also you can email me. Okay. What else? What other questions do we got? We got some good questions coming in. Okay, Javier, does your program offer lifetime assistance and access to all your support? Yes, so we do offer unlimited support until you get your property up and running. Okay. And again, we're active in the community. This isn't just like one of those like, Facebook groups where, you log in and you see that the last person to, respond was like years ago or months ago. Like we have people active daily, asking questions, answering questions, evaluating properties every single day. And so we are going to be in there, active for the lifetime of you being in the program. So however long it takes to get you guys a property, like that's what we're going to be doing, to work tirelessly to help you get a property up and running. Okay, Susan, do you struggle with renewing the agreement with the property owner? So this is a good question. Most of the time, no, because, unless they're like looking to sell the place, almost like every single time it comes ready to renew, landlords are more than happy to want to renew with you. And again, this comes with a few caveats. Number one, you have to be a good communicator and a good operator. Okay. And again, I teach you all this how to be a good operator, how to get, you know, successful properties on Airbnb in the course. But a lot of the times they reach out to me like proactively saying like, hey, like, you know, your lease is coming due in, you know, X amount of months. Are you looking to renew? Because we're taking such great care of their property, right? You know, they see how clean it is when they go in there. They also see that, you know, we're paying them rent every single month, that on time, like on autopilot. And they don't have to think about this because you're literally taking care of everything that they would have had to worry about as a landlord. They don't have to worry about anything. Like they just collect rent, have peace of mind that you're taking care of their property. And so of course they're going to want to renew, right? And so a lot of the times it's not an issue as long as you're a good operator and you're a good communicator, and also you're, you know, running your business smoothly and you built that good relationship with the landlord in the process. So and once you do all that, like they're going to want to renew, and they also typically want to, you know, do longer term leases anyway, 2 to 3 years. All right, Jeff. After a landlord sees you make a lot of more money than what you paid him or her, why would they lease to you again for another year? So this is a good question. So a lot of the times, you know, obviously, like this is your business, right? So they don't have to know like how much money you're making. Some of the landlords, they'll kind of be like, they'll kind of pry and, you know, wonder, you know, how you're doing. But if you, that's why I lock in the longer term leases, like 2 to 3 year leases, where they can't just like be like, oh, you know, actually I want to do this. Because at the end of the day, there's so much that goes into this business, like the furniture, you know, listing all the properties and all the back office systems and processes that they need to learn in order to have a successful property. Okay. So even if they wanted to do it, a lot of these landlords, they have multiple properties that they don't want to, you know, do more than just collect rent payments. Okay. A lot of these landlords don't even want to talk to their tenants. So what makes you think that they want to, you know, go out there and, you know, talk to a bunch of guests and, you know, deal with, you know, some of the other, you know, realities of owning an Airbnb and operating an Airbnb. But even if they see how much money you're making, like a lot of the times they're happy for you, right? They're like, okay, well, that means that I'm more likely to get my rent payment every single month. So you might not think, like, obviously there's like the 1% of the landlords that will try to do something scummy, but it's far and away between, or far in between, like something that I don't even have to, that you shouldn't worry about, honest, to be honest. So, but that is a good question that, you know, I'm sure some of you are thinking. Okay, Leanne, in the roadmap, is there a lease agreement that we can present to the property owner? Do you advise for us to have our own legal team build one? So I have a sublease addendum that, you know, I give to all my students. Of course, the lease agreement is different, and every property manager or landlord uses something different. So I usually, you know, we'll just like use their agreement. And then, of course, the sublease addendum protects you so that, you know, it says in writing that you can sublease the property, you know, with the landlord's permission. So I do provide my sublease addendum to all my students. Yes. Good questions, guys. These are really good questions. Okay, what else we got? Okay, have you had any property even after research not cash flow or goes sideways? No. So every single property that we've evaluated have all, like, we've never lost money on any single one of our properties. Like even like our worst month, I think we like cash flowed like a couple $100, but that was like during slow season. But every other month, like we've been cash flowing thousands of dollars every single month. And that's really where the market research and also the individual property feedback come in so handy, because there's so many people like in my DMs that are like, hey, like that aren't a part of my program, that'll DM me like, hey, like I arbitrage this property, but it's not making as much money as I thought. And, you know, I kind of like asked them questions about what their process was. And clearly they just went and tried to find just some random rinky dinky house. They will send me their listing, and everything that they could possibly do wrong, they've done. And so of course, like if you don't do the right market research and don't find the right properties, then you're not going to make money. That's just the reality of it. Right. And so again, I've never lost any money on any of my properties, even in the slowest of months. So yeah, so let's keep it moving. Good question. I live in Canada. Will that be a problem? No, we have several students in Canada. You know, they're all, you know, really crushing it. You can literally do this from anywhere. Like one of my top students is from Costa Rica. He's making $9,300 a month in cash flow from one property. And so you can literally do this from anywhere in the world. Okay. All right, let's get to your questions before we hop on here. Thanks for coming in, guys, and thanks for staying here. Dynamic pricing for Airbnb sync with other programs. Yes, so I show you exactly the dynamic pricing tools that I use. and also my calendar management software that I use and exactly how I set it up. So that way, the calendars are syncing for both my listings on Airbnb on VRBO, and also automating all the message templates, and also show you some like tips and tricks on how to actually increase your revenue by using these softwares. So yes, software is a vital part of the business, of my business model.